then that's it. I mean, I know things happen, you know, partners split up, you know, partners sadly die. But it's not that.
Yeah, it's also possible to have a large family and then find yourself in financial trouble. So it's
exactly.
Not like
so there are aberrations, I understand that.
We're going to have to leave it there, everybody. We'll get some more thoughts, of course, shortly after the break. We'll be talking about RAF pilots getting fat jabs. Plus, Keir Starmer, of course, has told Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor to face up to a US committee on Epstein. Is he going to do it? We'll talk about that very shortly.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word. Well, the Sunday Express says the RAF are considering allowing overweight pilots to use weight loss drugs. Why are there overweight pilots? I don't understand this. Anyway, it's reported that weight loss drugs are not approved for pilots, aircrew or controllers included in that at the moment. But Army veteran and former Defence Minister Sarah Atherton told the paper that the idea of military pilots and aircraft crews turning to weight loss jabs should set alarm bells. AJ, I'll come to you on this one. Yes, because it's ringing alarm bells for me.
Yeah, I think more than just alarm bells, to be honest. I've read into this a little bit more. It said 17% of the armed forces are classed as obese, and the MOD strongly denies that the military has an obesity problem. But the one thing I was reading also is, like, the lack of physical exercise that's been done. I was like, well, if you're the army, surely that's kind of like a fitness test that you're doing, I would like to think, daily. Yeah. So that is more than an alarm. It's very worrying. If we did have to rely on the army, the idea is, hopefully never, but the opportunity is actually more and more these days.
Yeah, well, what do you think about this, Nina? Because if we're saying that 17% of them are overweight, I mean, that should never be the case in the military, should it?
No, absolutely not, and neither should the police be. You see, these police.
I agree. I was thinking about the police when you said
If you do actually manage to see a policeman, they're very often waddling on the pavement. You know, you think, for God's sake.
I don't have any chance of them running after anything from Tesco.
They do a fitness test to get into the police, but then I don't think it's like... It should be an annual, like you have to run a mile in X amount of minutes, and it should be done, to us, in my opinion, weekly.
But what worries me is that lives will be put at risk by them taking it. Now, what are they saying about the fat jabs? I am quite against the fat jabs because we don't know what the long-term effects are, and unless people are learning proper eating habits and... You know, they're going to be on them for life, so we don't know about that.
Yeah.
So what are they saying here? Putting at risk? Why? Why are lives going to be put at risk?
It doesn't really help much, Steve, that the front page of the Sunday Express is advertising free bottle of Coca-Cola with it. So if you're an RAF pilot reading this, getting a bit worried, your eyes might just dive into that Iceland.
Maybe it's down to that cost of living again. They're going for that cheaper stuff.
And in-flight drinks are expensive, so it's been it'll be sugar-free anyway. No, I mean, one of the things about fat jabs is they can affect your eyesight. That's one of the side effects, and maybe that's why it's not allowed. But I do think you're slightly fighting the old war, because in the old days you needed military types who were really fit. Isn't it all piloting drones like you're some sort of computer games player? And if there's one thing I know about computer games players, they drink the Coke and eat the pizza and they're fat. So actually, maybe they are exactly the kind of demographic you should have got. But I do think...
Somehow I think you're wrong on that one, Stephen.
You should let them have the drugs, though, because... You can't weigh that much in a plane, can you? You burn more fuel if you weigh more.
That's a really good point.
We could probably sort out this.
I don't think it's pain in the seat, that's for sure.
Or
ejector seat.
Or ejector seat. Oh, still here. Still here.
Well, the parachute doesn't quite help. We could make fat jokes all evening, couldn't we, really? Let me just read this writer's reply here. A Ministry of Defence spokesperson told the Sunday Express, safety remains paramount in the armed forces. Comprehensive medical evidence is always required before any consideration is given to the introduction or expansion of use of medication for our personnel. All right, everybody. Well, look, I'm going to run through your front pages, one more time with you. The Mail on Sunday. Starmer piles pressure on Andrew to testify in US over Epstein. Sunday Telegraph. Ukraine deal not my final offer, says Trump. Sunday Times. Reads to scrap benefit cap but pledge reform. Sun on Sunday. PM. Andy should give evidence. The Sunday Mirror. Rachel Reeves exclusive. I'll get a grip on the cost of living. The Sunday Express. Safety fears over fat jabs for RAF pilots. The Observer. Greenland. Leave NATO. Tax the rich. Welcome migrants. Zach Polanski's hopes for Britain. Well, listen, thank you very much, AJ, Nina and Steve. I'll be back here tomorrow night. And I've got some of that exclusive footage, by the way, from the Pink Ladies protest I was at earlier on today. Hence the reason why I'm absolutely knackered. And I'm still cold from the terrible, terrible weather. I have a big show lined up for you at 9 o'clock. That's all we've got time for here on the show. I hope you've enjoyed the evening tonight. But up next is the Late Show Live, hosted by the one and only Ben Leo. Ben, what's coming up on your show?
Thank you, Alex. Get yourself some well-deserved rest. Tonight on The Late Show Live, I lay bare the migrant scam taking place in Britain. Not the small boats, not illegal migration. It's the scam of predominantly Pakistani men coming to Britain on work and student visas and then saying, oh, whoopsie, I need asylum. 10,000 of them last year, 40,000 in total. Elsewhere, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican firebrand who told Emily Maitlis to F off. Oh, could she be tabling soon a presidential bid? All that and more in just a tick.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
How can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Chancellor insists Labour will reform the welfare system.
As she paves the way to scrapping the two-child benefit cap in next week's budget.
Is it going to be enough, though, to get backbenchers on board with an overhaul of sick and unemployment pay, or are Labour MPs simply ungovernable?
The G20 summit is dominated by the issue of Ukraine and President Trump's controversial peace plan.
Talk to President Trump frequently, and I'm expecting to talk to him again in coming days. Well, I'm absolutely clear in my mind that President Trump wants a just and lasting peace. All matters about Ukraine must be determined in the end by Ukraine.
But the Prime Minister says all hope is not lost, as Trump says he isn't finished hashing out the peace deal.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
Rail fares will be frozen for the first time in 30 years as the government tries to soften the blow ahead of expected tax rises in the budget.
Public backlash grows after it was revealed Pakistani nationals are exploiting student and holiday visas to lodge asylum claims.
The Prime Minister heaps pressure on Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, to give evidence to the Epstein committee, all while the world awaits the release of the Epstein files.
Now, have you heard of Technoference? Well, the Princess of Wales is on a mission to spread the word. as she says technology could permanently damage human relationships.
A very good morning. 6 defeats in 7 Premier League games, 8 points off the leaders, and that's with £450 million spent on players. Liverpool are in full-blown crisis after they were thumped by Nottingham Forest at Anfield yesterday. And in F1, Max Verstappen wins in Vegas, but Lando Norris maintains his title charge.
Hello there, good morning. An unsettled Sunday for many of us with some heavy blustery showers. Stay tuned to find out if we'll see a return of the sunshine.
Good morning, it's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Penny Smith and this is GB News Breakfast. Oh, I love it when we get a new word.
Oh, technoference.
Yes, exactly. Have you heard of technoference?
No, I've never heard of it before this morning.
No.
But I can understand when she's saying, apparently the Princess of Wales, this is, saying that technology is interfering with human relationships.
It is.
I think for young people, it's for the kids growing up with it now who aren't developing in the same way.
I also don't think it helps when you've got adults constantly on the phone as well whilst out with the children. You know, the children are just there and they're sort of constantly on the phone.
No, it's not good.
Also, can I just say...
Oh, here we go.
Here you go. It's a small goat. Actually, it's quite a big goat. No, it's a big goat. People being on their phone when dealing with other people.
Oh, yeah.
So annoying. Exactly. And I am at the age where I call it out. So I was in the coffee shop the other day, woman in front of me on the phone, just said this, latte, went back to her phone.
Rude.
I know.
What did you say, Penny? Go on.
I just said, very rude. And then I slightly looked over her left ear so that there was no fisticuffs involved, because I could have said, oh, I'm just looking at the things and just saying random words. If she'd have kicked off. Yeah. As it was, she just kind of said, please.
Yeah, it's all it takes. Oddly enough, in the United States, no offence, Jennifer Powers is standing by, but in the United States, you see it on the TV shows when they go into bars and things and they just...
They just say, gimme.
Yeah,
they say, give me.
Yeah, they don't say...
Can I get?
They don't say...
Can I get?
They don't say please or thank you.
No, they don't.
Maybe it's a very British thing, but I like it.
And yet, in a shop, they're very quick to come over, tell you their name, how they can help you, and the fact that the things on the shelf, there might be other sizes available that they can definitely get us. I think it's quite a big
Go on, Jennifer. Since you're the resident American or former US citizen.
Dual citizen.
Okay.
Yes, I can be that bridge across the Atlantic.
Excuse yourself.
No, I'm not going to defend the overzealous staff, on the door of the shop, because that could be a bit much. But I will agree vociferously with you about the technoference and its impact on human relationships. So absolutely. There's a term called cognitive leakage.
Oh dear, that sounds unpleasant.
It's an actual technical term that researchers come up with.
I'm writing that
which
down.
Which means when you have technology, even if it's not on, if it's near you, a bit of your brain is still
that's
we like that.
Oh, well, thank you very much indeed.
Yes, thank you.
It's your second new phrase of the day, then.
Yes, good, I'm liking that.
Cognitive leakage. It just sounds...
unpleasant. Sunday mornings, get the towels.
Seeing as Jennifer's here, we better tell you what we want to talk to her about. And that is that 3 days before Rachel Reeves unveils what has been dubbed by many as a nightmare budget, warnings are growing that millions of workers could be hit.
Yeah, there is this £20 billion black hole to fill. So the Chancellor is expected to rely on stealth tax hikes, including a U-turn on frozen income tax thresholds, dragging hundreds of thousands more into higher tax bands.
Well, Rachel Reeves insists the wider welfare bill must be tackled as well, but polling shows Britons would prefer public service spending cuts to tax rises.
Yes, political commentator, we've already seen her once, is Jennifer Powers. And Jennifer, the thing is that when people say that they would prefer cuts to public spending rather than paying more taxes, I think the problem is that they think they might prefer that, but actually we would prefer our potholes being sorted and our hospitals not to be so crumbling and various other things. So the problem is it's a balancing act, isn't it? You've actually got to do things to make a difference, make things better, whilst actually not trying to put too many people in a position where they can't really afford to do anything at all that's even remotely fun.
Well, they say we get the politicians we deserve. And the British electorate is notorious for wanting the state to give us everything it can whilst paying as little taxes.
Exactly.
So, you know, the rubber does hit the road, as you say, and trade-offs, you know, trade-offs happen, and the Chancellor is going to have to make those decisions this Wednesday. I mean, she gave a phenomenal interview earlier in the week, which you probably spoke about, where she claimed that she'd been underestimated her entire life.
Mansplaining.
And
Mansplaining.
Yes, she also didn't like mansplaining. I thought, my goodness, no one is, I don't think anyone's underestimating her for this budget. I think we all have the most pessimistic take possible. And I'd be very surprised if it turned out to be anything other than really quite damaging for the pocketbooks of the British public.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is, I mean, the Conservatives say, and, you know, how true it is, we don't know, but the Conservatives say they could cut £47 billion.
Any party can cut any number.
Well, apart from the fact, the problem is that the Labour government can't, can they? Because they'd never get it through.
Well, and there is the problem. I mean, to your point, the poll in the, I think it was the Times article this morning, it's interesting because it actually shows that, on balance, all voters of all political parties prefer a bit of restraint on the public spending over ever more tax increases. Even the Greens, who are the most left-wing on economic issues. So I do wonder if we've hit that inflection point where people are conscious that the tax burden is growing ever higher and they're not seeing the results in the public services from the huge amount of tax we pay now. And so their patience is wearing thin.
You see, I just think that if you put taxes on things which you could vaguely consider a luxury and kept that higher, because I think it's the money that when you go out to work, you put your effort in and you look at people who don't go to work, who perhaps should be in work. I'm not talking about people who are off work genuinely because they're not well, but the people who, and you just think the benefits for people to not work are too big.
Well, it's all about incentives. And yes, we have a huge issue with the welfare budget in this country. And it's interesting because I'm sure we'll be covering the Ukraine during the show. And, you know, one of the problems with the very sad, tragic situation that Ukraine finds itself in is that Europe hasn't been able to provide the military support that it promised. And one of the main reasons it hasn't been able to do that is because of huge welfare spending across Europe, including here in the UK. And to your point, Stephen, you know, the backbenchers are the problem for that. And we see the government, you know, it was the first rebellion of this new government. There were 7 Labour MPs who voted for an amendment to the King's Speech, which would have abolished the 2-child benefit cap. And as they passed through the lobby to vote for that amendment, they got text messages saying that they were suspended from the Labour Party. So it was like very quick, very robust action by the whip saying, no, you will toe the line. Well, fast forward a year and a bit, and this is now about to become Labour Party policy because, as you say, of the power of the backbenches and the ineffectiveness of the Prime Minister and the Chancellor who just don't
This
have
is also
power.
the ridiculous situation. And one of the headlines is, you know, we're going to reform the welfare system and have some savings, but whilst also saying we're also going to increase the welfare system and get rid of the 2-child benefit cap.
And you know, they would have a lot more credibility if they did the two things at the same time. But, you know, they're hoping that the bond markets will believe them when they say that they will clamp down on spending further down the road. But that seems to be a really precarious position to be.
You know, we've talked about technology, and we're talking about technology a little bit later on as well. But technology, you do wonder if it wasn't better in the days when the Chancellor held up the red bag and went, here's the budget, and pretty much nobody heard about what was in the budget. There was a little bit of speculation in the papers, but in general, not very much because you couldn't.
Yes.
And was that a better way of doing it?
Well,
should we go back? I know it's difficult because, I mean, as I said, talk about cognitive leakage. It's sort of leakage out of the Palace of Westminster, isn't it, all the time?
Yes, indeed. No, it's an interesting question, and I think you're onto something because the date of this budget was much later. We've gone 13 months between budgets, which has led to speculation. And the fact that the government, as we talk endlessly, doesn't really have a plan, doesn't really have a vision of where to take the country, it means they didn't have a clear idea of what they wanted with this budget. It's almost like they were working at, we have to fix the black hole. We have this deficit of, so what are we going to, what spending are we going to stop or taxes are we going to put up? And so it's that sort of game they're playing as opposed to trying to get somewhere. And so, yes, they've been briefing like crazy. There have been leaks like crazy. And for some of the tax changes that they might want to do, it's actually kind of productive to know about it in advance.
Exactly.
So this talk of the wealth tax, people may be moving their wealth. It's actually killed the housing market because people are afraid of what's going to happen with the tax bands at the top. So some people are choosing to move out of the country before the budget, and we know that the very rich pay the vast majority of the tax in this country. So all sorts of unintended consequences from a chancellor who doesn't know what she wants to do.
Yeah. All right, Jennifer. For now, thank you very much indeed. And of course, we'll have full coverage here on Wednesday, and that lovely budget heads our way. Can I just say, I'm not working on Wednesday.
Was that deliberate?
And I've never been more pleased because I don't want to sit through it. I don't. I just don't. No.
Yeah.
I don't. I'd rather be sat at home. I'm not even going to. Shouldn't say this. I'm not going to watch either.
Right.
I'll watch the sum ups.
Are you not just going to do that thing that
no? Because I'd sit on the sofa and cry.
Okay. I was just going to say sometimes it's just that thing of it's over in their corner and I'll just quickly look at it and do that. Wince a bit.
I shall have a quick scan at the GB News website at the end of the day just to see the summaries.
Right.
And that will be it.
But don't forget, the rest of you can actually watch GB News. You are allowed. Donald Trump has defended his 28-point peace plan for Ukraine, telling journalists that it is not the final offer. That is ahead of crisis talks in Geneva today.
Well, President Trump is a no-show, as we know, at the G20 in South Africa. Our political editor, Christopher Hope, is there.
The clock is ticking towards the deadline imposed on Ukraine to agree Donald Trump's 28-point peace plan. He calls it a peace plan, but in Europe and Ukraine, it's almost certainly seen as a surrender plan. This deadline of Thanksgiving Day in the US is really focusing minds for Sir Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, and other leaders. They've met here at the G20 in Johannesburg at the E3 level. That's France, Germany and the UK. Their leaders met. And then after that with Norway, Ireland, Italy, Finland, Spain, Netherlands and even Canada, all agreeing how to respond to this 28-point plan. They say it's a draft, not a final document, a basis for additional work. They all want a just and lasting peace, but they do say borders must not be changed by force. The EU members, the allies of the coalition, the willing, the allies of Ukraine, they say this: they're concerned by proposed limitations on Ukraine's armed forces, which would leave Ukraine vulnerable to future attack. Crucially for me, they say also that the EU and NATO members must consent to this deal. That to me is an attempt to put a brake on this Thanksgiving Day deadline, to say to Donald Trump, you can't impose this on Ukraine without our agreement in NATO and the European Union. The focus though moves on Sunday to Geneva, when we'll be seeing members of the senior levels within the UK and other members of the coalition, the willing, and national security advisors meeting with senior figures from Donald Trump's administration. That's when the talks will carry on, and all the time the clock ticks towards Thursday. The pressure is on for the Prime Minister. He'll be back in the UK from Sunday, and of course domestically there's a make or break budget which will do so much to define his record as Prime Minister. So both internationally and domestically, it's a crucial week for Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Christopher Hope for GB News in Johannesburg.
Well, Defence Editor at The Standard is Robert Fox, as you know, and he's here. Really good to see you, Robert. What are we to make of the fact that within 24 hours Trump is saying, well, it's not the final offer? It seems like he has felt some of the pressure.
Well, it's something to do with turkeys and Christmas, or rather, turkeys and Thanksgiving Day. He wanted to give it a deadline. The deal was done between his best offsider, Witkoff. Let us state again, Witkoff is not a professional diplomat. He is not a professional military. Yeah. And it was done with Mr. Dimitrov, who is a sort of banker who's had a bit of a Harvard and Stanford education. He's quite an arrogant man, I understand. He said that places him very highly. He is not, according to the latest profiles. There have been some very good ones in the press lately. He's a man who fancies himself. He is not the worldwide whiz financier that he claims him to be. And I think that what has caught Trump is that really you can't negotiate away Ukraine and tell Europe it's got to do this, that and the other to maintain the peace, supposing you get it, and not consult them at all. And that's falling apart. The other bit that is falling apart is, I've just been reading all 28 points. They are incredibly favourable to Russia. Russia gets the big prize. This is what attracts Putin. Come in from the cold, you join the G7, it becomes the G8, sanctions are lifted. I think as long as there's tension, as long as Russia has probably the best part of 1 million people under arms in and around Ukraine, in the theatre of battle, I think Europe isn't going to buy this one. I think Trump's beginning to realise that.
Yeah, but it is so difficult, though, isn't it? Because otherwise the war... you know, you can see why Trump comes to it with this kind of more of a businessman's eye. Right, OK, so this is what's happening.
And a Peace Prize eye.
Yes, of course, and also, you know, legacy, etc., 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 all those other sort of things. But I'm just saying that he comes in, he looks at it and he goes, right, OK, oh, so if you have that, then, oh, well, I think that's a done deal, isn't it? Then, and as long as America gets something out of it, we're fine. The problem is, it seems to be time and again that he doesn't realise how complex these things are.
You're absolutely right, Penny. The business side of it is quite prominent in this piece of paper. And America gets paid for all kinds of... Europe doesn't get paid.
No.
Europe has to pay.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. There's something, you know, transactional, as you say about it, which is actually kind of weird, and people are beginning to flag up. America's going to be the referee. It's going to conduct the negotiations between Russia, a bit with Ukraine coming in, and NATO, as if America isn't part of NATO.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they're negotiating against the wishes of their allies. And that's why, you know, no messing around with dates, and we can be very funny about this, and Thanksgiving and Trump's vanity and so on. It really is a flex point for NATO. NATO has got a problem out of this, because whichever way this one cuts, as the 28 points stand, you're going to have an enormously over-armed Russia sitting on the border. It's going to be a much longer line of confrontation across Europe than we ever had during the Cold War with the Iron Curtain. Over to you, Europe, because it's your show. That's what America is saying. I would be very interested to know what the cooler brains and the cooler spirits in the Pentagon are actually saying to Trump now. You can't walk away from this one. But where Putin is moving and Trump, they're moving together because they sense blood. Zelensky is incredibly vulnerable. Things are not going well on the battlefield, but above all, there is scandal. And the ring of scandals get closer and closer to Zelensky. The corruption. And it's big corruption, by the way.
It's only a small amount of time, I mean, I don't know, a month or two ago, that Trump was in the White House with Zelensky saying, well, you could just win it all. You could, you know, you don't need to surrender any land. You could have it all back. When he was particularly annoyed with Putin. It does seem we are literally swinging from one extreme to the other with all of this.
Stephen, I think that's the thing that they're beginning to factor in, is the inconsistency of Trump. And it really is a major factor when you look at this and you look at Gaza, because we're stuck on the same thing. How do you maintain a peace? Oh, you buy in, you hire people who are not Hamas, but they're armed Palestinians, and they can do it, and probably the Europeans will monitor them if the Arabs don't want it. You know, my friends MBZ and MBS in UAE and Saudi Arabia. By the way, I know they've been mucking around and they're at each other's throats in Sudan. And meanwhile, I've got about 40% of the real working US Navy in the Caribbean, looking at Venezuela, which is becoming a huge crisis. It's all over the place. This is the problem. And we're not quite ready for it. We've got to step up for it. And this is where Starmer, bring it, funny enough, what your previous speaker, Jennifer Powers, was saying, actually, Starmer is going to be told to spend more on defence earlier. And that is going to affect the background to the budget. And I think it's going to make it very, very difficult, because, just quickly, you know, Whitehall is split. part of Whitehall says we're not really at war. Russia doesn't really threaten. They're drones, survey ships. It's not really us. You know, the Scandinavians a bit. And then there are others like Simon Case and now Lord Case, the former cabinet secretary. We have got to face the prospect that we are going to be in or at the serious threat of war, real war, for another 20 years. And there's quite a fight about this, and the army isn't ready for anything. It's only got 14 big artillery guns, sending its troops on live-firing exercises with no live ammunition, and so on. So there is a big agenda in the background, and the warfare against welfare argument in Whitehall is pretty strong still.
Warfare versus welfare.
All right, Robert, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on.
You bet.
Let's get a check on the weather now with... who is it today?
It's Anna Krizik today. She's standing by.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea, and with it we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so a return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers, so mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, so if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Still to come, we're talking about Technoference. The Princess of Wales is raising the alarm over it. We're going to find out what it is and how it affects us next.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
Taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
It's 6:28 and there's only a few weeks left until Christmas, of course. Time is running out. If you want it all on us, every single penny we'll pay for.
Yeah. 40,000 in tax-free cash, a grand to spend in your favourite supermarket, a fantastically festive GB News goodie bag.
Say that with a straight face, Penny.
I did. And the best news, you'll get it all in time for the big day. Here are the details.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, the Princess of Wales is stepping up her campaign to protect family life from the constant pull of technology.
Her Early Years Centre is offering £100,000 to fund research into what is called Technoference.
Well,
sorry,
what
I'm
is it?
sounding.
Well, no, it's a fair question.
What is a beetle?
Well, no, but honestly, let's talk to tech expert Josh White. Josh, good morning to you. What is it?
Well, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Technoference, because I was thinking about it this morning before we came on, actually. What is it? How's it affecting my life? It's everywhere. So we all have a phone in our pocket. I'm sure you've got one right now. And I'm looking around my house. There's a smart speaker in the kitchen. I'm looking at you on a computer that's next to where we dine in my house. There's technology is everywhere, and it's with everyone. So in a family life, what has surprised me in looking into this the last couple of days is that ages 5 to 7 in the UK, there was an Ofcom study last year, 1 in 4 children already have a smartphone. By the time they get to 15, that's 97%. So technoference is the fact that there's a computer in all of our pockets all the time, and we always want to look at it.
Technoference is just technology being ever present and actually leaching into every single thing that we do. We were talking to a political commentator a little bit earlier on, Jennifer Powers, who was talking about something called cognitive leakage, which is apparently when you've got a phone or a computer and you're not on it and you're not doing anything with it, but there's part of your brain waiting to engage with it.
Well, yeah, and I can tell you I felt that at a pub quiz where you're not allowed to use a phone, and I had to get it out and use it.
Yeah.
But that's certainly a thing, and I mean you see families sitting down to a dinner table and not perhaps not engaging with each other, perhaps son or daughter's on the phone, perhaps mum's checking an email, perhaps someone's dad's looking up the sports scores from the weekend, that sort of thing. It's insidious and it's everywhere. And schools are starting to get on top of this, but it's in the home that we're wondering how do we resolve this. I'm at home now with an 8-week-old, my first, so he doesn't have a phone yet, but I'm already thinking, when am I supposed to give him a phone? How am I supposed to police this? And I think these are the questions that the Princess of Wales is looking to answer, because in schools it's easy. Give us your phone at the start of the day. Don't use it all day. You'll get in trouble. But how do you do that at home when everyone at home has a phone in their pocket and are surrounded by other screens?
I mean, the other issue seems to be, and there's lots of research on it, which seems to suggest the younger people are starting to use technology, the more it is changing the way their brains are developing.
Yeah, well, yes, and there's something I remember seeing a few years ago which definitely made me think perhaps we've gone a bit too far with this. Was I was sitting with my wife at Stansted Airport, jetting off somewhere far warmer than it is here right now, and seeing a young child rather than being entertained by something, by their parents, it was by an iPad while their parents looked at their phones. And I thought, well, you go back 10 years, 20 years, they'd all be talking with each other, finding their own entertainment together. Yeah. But if from such an early age you're being entertained by a screen, and that's what your parents are doing as well, this is the dilemma we face. We're in an era where everyone has a device, and from such an early age, you learn from what's going on around you. You learn from what people are doing around you, and everyone is looking at their device. So you learn.
Josh, they found, haven't they? There's a school. I think there's probably more than one school where they have banned phones. Full stop. Banned. You go in, you put them in a bag. You're not allowed to operate. And they said within a week, people were talking to each other. There were games being played. There were books being read. And everybody seemed brighter and more positive, because, of course, the other bad thing is, particularly as you start getting towards the secondary school, you get all sorts of things like bullying online and all that kind of constant obsession with, because we can't help it, we compare ourselves with others and we always find ourselves lacking and want whatever it is that they've got, not knowing that there's any other kind of, context that you might need to be looking at these things in. And it's not good for your brain health.
No, and it's interesting with the schools as well. You look at it, it's become so insidious in schools that it's just over the last 3-4 years, it's jumped from 20 to about 40% of countries in the OECD. The governments have actually told schools, you have to ban phones. This is not a school decision. This is all schools. You need to take phones at the start of the day. It's not something here yet, perhaps, but it's something so severe in schools that they're having to mandate this. The technoference and the cyberbullying both being issues. But it's this question of in the home, and no one really has an answer to it yet. That seems to be what's being looked at here. How can parents do right by their kids as they raise them to make sure that they don't become sort of slaves to the smartphone?
Josh, thank you very much. Josh White, technology expert, and now we know what technoference. I want to say
it's
technomancy.
It's worrying.
Do have your say, by the way. You can get in touch.
But right, at 6:35, it's time for the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Marjorie and I am a Baptist leader in Sheffield. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ is one of life's most remarkable mysteries. As Jesus hung on the cross, beaten, bloodied and seemingly powerless, a remarkable scene unfolded beside him. 2 criminals were crucified alongside him. One mocked, but the other believed. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom, he cried out. And Jesus answered the criminal, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." This second man saw what few could, that Jesus, even in death, was still a king. What faith to see a kingdom beyond the cross and to recognize Jesus' authority to rule over it. He recognized simply that he was a sinner and Jesus was a savior. And Jesus' response shows us that his power was never diminished, not even for a moment. He didn't say one day or maybe, he said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." That's divine authority speaking. The power to save, the power to forgive, the power to open paradise right in the middle of pain. Jesus' power isn't loud or flashy, it's quiet, sovereign and unstoppable. He is a humble and self-sacrificing king, but even in his lowest moment he was still a king. And today many believe he still has the final word.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
The new guidelines instruct visa officers to reject applicants who may be eligible for public benefits as part of the president's hardline crackdown on immigration, all to prevent people becoming dependent on those public benefits and draining the US resources.
So with an increasing obesity problem in the UK, should the UK follow Trump and ban visas for fat people?
Well, joining us now is the body positivity influencer and actor George Keywood and the former presenter of Fat Families, Steve Miller. Steve, I think I might know what you think about this one. Let's kick off with you.
Well, I think this is great. I think this is Trump using common sense. This is Trump putting his country first. And wouldn't that be a breath of fresh air if we had it in the UK? Of course, by encouraging people that are too fat and have already got medical conditions, serious medical conditions, coming into your country, what I'm saying is, it is a common sense factor, because the likelihood is that they're going to cost your country a lot of money. And let's face it, the taxpayer is already under stress. The NHS is knackered. And do you know how much it costs per year to look after someone with diabetes? It costs up to £3,000 a year. So no, we're bust. We can't afford it. So Trump's policy is something absolutely we should adopt. It's common sense, and I think most British people would agree.
George Keywood, what do you think? Is he being unfair?
Well, I'm British and I completely disagree. It's absolute nonsense, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, Jesus Christ. Are we getting to the point where we're saying that fat people can't go in a country? I mean, it's just absolutely ludicrous. And it's something that I expect for somebody like that to say.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Sport now with Aidan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Look at the F1.
Yes, it's live this morning. It finished about an hour ago. Good news from a home perspective, because Lando Norris, while not being convincing, got the job done. He didn't win. He finished second, but it puts him 30 points ahead of his teammate and main rival.
30?
Yes, exactly. So 58 points still to play for with 2 races to go. Qatar is on the, I think it's the 28th of November. That's going to be pivotal, but I think he will do it. I think he's got the mettle to do it. It wasn't an easy race for him. He tried to overtake Max Verstappen, who went on to win. And obviously, don't forget, Verstappen's won the last 4 and so it's not an easy person to overhaul. But he's in the race, but he's not going to win it, I don't think, Verstappen. And afterwards, Piastri has pretty much conceded defeat. He said he's going to need a miracle from now on to overtake him. But let's see how it bears out. He had some problems with his fuel at the end, Norris. Possibly a sign of the nerves getting to him, because up to now he's been pretty flawless. He's pretty emotionless as he's gone in.
Doesn't even blink. Can you afford to blink when you're driving that fast?
I don't know. It's hard to see behind the helmet, isn't it?
Anyway, I just wonder if they sort of have their eyeballs glued like that, because you can't. I mean, how do you even notice? You know, because you're talking about split-second decisions.
I know. But listen, in terms of the context of it, I mean, Lewis Hamilton finished down in 10th today. Not a surprise. He's not been performing well at all. But Lando Norris wasn't really fancied at the start of last season when we were predicting our winners. Oscar Piastri was one of the ones, along with Max Verstappen, of course, who was tipped to go on and win it. So I wouldn't say he's an outlier, because he's been fancied for some time in terms of his potential. But at the age of 25, to go on and win it, if he was to do that, that would be an exceptional achievement. And somebody who's not been heralded that much so far, and it's good in the context of Hamilton kind of dropping off that we've got a Brit well in the mix. Liverpool, goodness me, where do you start with them? £450 million spent last summer. Now, don't forget, they won the league last season, so this is meant to be... And they did it without a huge spend. And so this summer was meant to be the time when, having spent all that money on players, they were going to be even better, possibly. I mean, last year we thought they were going to win it from November onwards. But they did. They went on to do that comfortably. Their manager was praised, Arne Slot. This year, I mean, they've just been nowhere. They lost 3-0 at Manchester City 2 weeks ago, 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. I don't think Nottingham Forest, prior to last season when they won at Anfield, had won there for about 45 years. And they've done it 2 years in a row now. And again, extraordinary achievement by them, having had a really rough start to the season. But we'll go into more depth on Liverpool next hour.
Yeah, look forward to it. Aidan, thank you very much indeed. Do not move a muscle, because Emma Wolf and Lewis Oakley will take us through the papers in just a moment. First, if you want some holiday sun, here's a European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The unsettled weather continues across the central Mediterranean. Heavy rain and thunderstorms expected here. Some areas could even see a month's worth of rainfall in just a few days. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira, but many areas of northern Europe are going to see a very unsettled day on Monday. The poorest of conditions likely across Italy and around the Adriatic coastline. Some heavy showers and thunderstorms here. Still a mix of sunshine and showers into next week, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dixon weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, writer and journalist Emma Wolfe and broadcaster and podcaster Lewis Oakley are here to go through the papers. And Lewis, I don't know if you were watching our interview, we were talking about, oh, for goodness sake, what's it called again?
Technoference.
Technoference a little bit earlier on. You're saying, will tech spell the end of of Toy Story for kids?
Yeah, so this is interesting, and actually we were watching, but we only heard half it, so it started a whole discussion in the green room around this. So it's clearly a topic that gets people talking. So look, Toy Story 5, the plotline is going to be she gets an iPad, and then the toys get neglected. And so it's sparking this wider conversation around, is this what's happening in homes everywhere? As someone that has got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, I kind of feel like this is slightly over the top. Now, my kids do have access to iPads, and they're useful at times. They're not allowed to just free range go on it, but I would say, if I look back on my childhood, what was the difference between me being sat in front of CBBC for hours and the iPad, where arguably, depending on, you know, they're not sat there on TikTok swiping. Sometimes they're watching a little YouTube video, whatever it is, a little show, or you actually see them there, you know, doing shape things or things like that. They're actually having their brains challenged. So I think it's a balance. I don't think it's something you should blanket say is bad or blanket say is good. You've got to keep an eye on it. You've got to think about, OK, how long can they have on it? But they still play with things. My little boy is obsessed at the moment with doing tea parties, where we have to line up all the toys and spend hours doing tea parties, which is time-consuming. And my little girl will play with her Thomases, and she's absolutely fine. So it's not that they're just on the iPads and all the toys are being neglected. So I do think it's slightly over the top sometimes.
But hold on. It has to be a balance, though, doesn't it, Emma?
It does.
Because we cannot remove technology.
We can't, but Lewis, I have a 5-year-old as well, and you know I'm really anti-tech. I grew up without television. There is a difference. There is a difference to being online. If you try and take that phone away, the smartphone away, the screen away from a child, have you seen the reaction? They are very addicted very, very quickly. We are. I mean, I'm not pretending I'm not. I'm exactly like your previous interviewer said, what that tech interference, that constant kind of, even if you don't even know what you're Googling or doom scrolling or whatever, you're always slightly glancing at your phone, aren't you? If it pings, I think there's about a 3-second gap between your phone pinging and your brain going to it. Even when you say, no, the phone is going over there, if you hear that ping or you see that little, like, notification, however you do your notification, they have proved, and it is rewiring brains. So I think it is changing how children's brains are literally being wired.
Look, it's something we have to look at, but at the same time, I've also had periods where they've got access to the iPads and they haven't used them in weeks.
Wow.
So I don't want to create this whole thing of like, oh, OK, you can use the iPad now, it becomes this big rewards thing. It should just be another toy that's there, that's a bit boring sometimes, and if I think it's being overused or affecting their capacity to have an attention span, then I intervene.
Yeah, fair enough. This is in the Mail, isn't it? And Frank Cottrell-Boyce, who is he's the Children's Laureate, and he's saying that the government should give children access to more books because of a recession of happiness from a lack of reading. I think that's the other thing, isn't it? Is that we've talked about tech as you get older as well. The fact that you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, and it's not good. We know that it's not good.
A massive driver for things like kind of body dysphoria and eating disorders and all of that. We know that, you know, there's just so much out there that is filtered, that is airbrushed, that people think, and young people, at least we can see, well, that's ridiculous. People don't look like that. Young people really think that other people, you know, are living these perfect, filter, fabulous lives.
It is a concern. We've got to move on, otherwise we're going to run out of time. Emma, at the Sunday Telegraph this morning, It says business owners are fleeing Britain ahead of the budget.
Yeah, this is really worrying, isn't it? And I think anecdotally, we all know that people, people who are running businesses, wealthier friends of ours, might be saying, actually, do you know what? I just can't stay in this country anymore. But now business owners, company directors have been talking about the hostile environment that Labour have basically created in terms of clamping down on non-dom status, all the new workers' rights, all of the swinging taxes, the hike in NI. In the past 12 months...
National insurance hike, I think, is the one which stops people employing more people.
Stops them employing more people?
Well, why would I bother?
But also the constant threat of tribunals, the fact that if you employ someone and they're hopeless, a day later, they can take you to court, because they have rights from day one. We all want workers to have decent terms and conditions. In the past 12 months, over 6,000 company directors have left the UK. And this is not just a brain drain. This is a kind of entrepreneurial, financial flight. This is about investment.
These are the people
wealth
who
creators.
employ people.
They employ people.
And they pay a lot of taxes.
And they pay a lot of taxes. They're the wealth creators. And it's also about business confidence. People are not investing in this country because they don't know what's coming on Wednesday, but they don't know what the situation is going to be like next year.
I think it would be hard to argue that we've got a culture now that punishes ambition. I really think that we do. And I work in a small company in the week, and I see the pressure. Like, you have normal business pressures trying to make payroll and trying to win new business. You then add all of the red tape on top and all of the taxes changing all the time. I actually, from working in a small business, I actually wouldn't want to be a business owner now. And I'm someone that probably would have been like, right, that's it, I'm starting my own company. And now I'm like, oh, I can't deal with all the trouble of it.
Red tape. There's a Mac cartoon on the front of the Telegraph today. Good. Very good. A bloke at a bank counter, and he's saying it's budget. It's a budget in a few days. I've just come to say goodbye to my money.
But it's what it feels like.
And as someone said to me on X, not au revoir to their money, goodbye.
Yeah.
Because really anybody... And I think it's across the income levels and across the political spectrum. Everybody is braced for Wednesday, for pain.
Yeah.
But also, you're right about ambition, where is the ambition now? Because the minute you start to earn more money, you're being absolutely clobbered.
Well, I've said before, when I started doing the paper reviews and started doing GB News, that first year, and in that year I wrote a book and I did this show, a couple of other shows, 95% of that money went back in tax.
Yeah.
Now, the first year is always harder because you pay that year and then the year. So, but where it's like, what was the point of waking up at 4:30 all those times when I gave it all away?
Yeah. And it's
about aspiration and building something as well as just talking about, how much tax we pay.
Yeah. Well, as someone said on this show a couple of months ago now, stop squeezing the pips and start planting the orchards.
Absolutely.
That's a nice one.
I like that one. It's good, isn't it?
And it doesn't need to be either or. It isn't just about punishing the rich to help the poor.
No. All right, you two. Thank you very much indeed. See you later.
Right. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea, and with it we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so a return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers. So mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius. So if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on a BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The Chancellor insists Labour will reform the welfare system.
As she paves the way to scrapping the two-child benefit cap in next week's budget.
But will it be enough to get backbenchers on board with an overhaul of sick and unemployment pay? Or are Labour MPs just ungovernable now?
The G20 summit is dominated by the issue of Ukraine and President Trump's controversial peace plan.
Talk to President Trump frequently, and I'm expecting to talk to him again in coming days. Well, I'm absolutely clear in my mind that President Trump wants a just and lasting peace. All matters about Ukraine must be determined in the end by Ukraine.
The Prime Minister says all hope is not lost, as Trump says he isn't finished hashing out that peace deal about Ukraine.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
Rail fares will be frozen for the first time in 30 years as the government tries to soften the blow ahead of expected tax rises in the budget.
There's a public backlash after it was revealed some Pakistani nationals are exploiting student and holiday visas to lodge asylum claims in the UK.
The Prime Minister heaps pressure on Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, to give evidence to the Epstein committee, all while the world awaits the release of the Epstein files.
6 defeats in 7 Premier League games, 8 points off the leaders, and that's with £450 million spent on players. Liverpool are in full-blown crisis after they were thumped by Nottingham Forest at Anfield. We'll hear from their manager later on. And in F1, Max Verstappen wins in Vegas, but Lando Norris maintains his title charge.
Hello there, good morning. An unsettled Sunday for many of us with some heavy blustery showers. Stay tuned to find out if we'll see a return of the sunshine.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Penny Smith, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just an interesting point that's come through from one of you, but I haven't got your name, sadly. It's not on the list. But about this technoference thing, which got us all talking this morning. Go back 5 or 10 years, they say. Parents and children would be talking to each other. Now they're using technology. What rubbish. In the past, kids would be having tantrums and the parents would be losing their temper. How people fantasise about the past. I get it. I do get it. I get your point. I think the concern is now that the children aren't learning how to connect. Even if you have a tantrum...
Exactly. At least it's a connection.
It's a connection.
At least it's a conversation. At least it's a to and fro as opposed to a just on the face.
Also, it's the important thing with that is it's about lines, isn't it, and barriers and limits. Even if the parents are shouting back, they're saying, that's enough now, and the kids need to know when enough is enough. Yeah. So I get your point, but I still think the technology is a bit of a problem.
Yeah. GB/you'll say?
Yes.
Or GB and Friends?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll play you a little promo about GB and Friends a little bit later on. Do it a little bit later on, because I want to crack on with what's going on with the main story, which is about the Chancellor, of course. 3 days before...
Wednesday.
Yeah, we get this new budget this week. Warnings that millions of workers could be hit.
Yeah, £20 billion black hole. Sorry, I was waiting for... I was actually waiting for Rachel Reeves to say something, but we'll have to wait until Wednesday for that. Anyway, £20 billion black hole to fill. Chancellor expected to rely on these they're calling them stealth tax hikes, including a likely U-turn on frozen income tax thresholds, and that means hundreds of thousands more will be dragged into higher tax bands. But I call them stealth tax, as I said, they're hardly stealthy.
They're not really stealthy, no.
You can see them coming.
Rachel Reeves says the wider welfare bill must be tackled as she prepares to pay people more for their children. Polling shows most Britons would prefer public service spending cuts to tax rises.
Yeah. Political commentator Jennifer Powers joins us now. I mean, the thing is that when we say... We do know, and we know from past polls, that the way you ask a question does actually skew the answer. And if you said, would you like more money in your pay packet, or would you slash public services, you'd go, yeah, more money in the pay packet. If you said, would you prefer your potholes filled, your local hospital to have more doctors, more police on the streets, would you prefer that, or would you prefer more? Then people, it's a bit more nuanced, isn't it? That's the problem.
we want it all. We talk out of both sides of our mouth, don't we? We want lower taxes and better public services. We're quite relaxed about tax hikes if they affect other people. Yeah. When they affect our pocketbook, we're implacably against. So, yes, we get the politicians we deserve, I guess.
But there is a difference, isn't there, between what you would call public service cuts compared to austerity measures, which is when we saw the police numbers cut and all these major things.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So public services versus, say, welfare spending.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is an issue, and that's front and center with this budget, because as you said, she's looking to abolish the two-child benefit cap, which will cost $3 billion. And she professes that in future the government will actually tackle the the wider welfare bill. But of course, why is she not doing it at the same time? You know, I do wonder, because of her track record, unfortunately, but I do wonder how wise it is for her to actually give in to her backbenchers on the 2-child benefit cap going, whilst not reforming benefits in another way at the same time, because then at least she'd have something to dangle in front of them and say, look, you're getting here's a win, it's something you care about. And she could smuggle through some sort of reform, but she's not doing that.
No, but this is the crazy thing. We haven't got any money. There's anywhere between 20 and 50 billion pound black hole, which has been generated since the last budget. She backed away from saving only 5 billion in welfare, which could have been a lot higher, and she's now going to spend another 3 billion on welfare on dropping the 2-child benefit cap. How does that make any sense?
Well, it's going back to the whole point that she doesn't have a plan for the economy. She doesn't have a plan for public spending reform. We don't have, you know, tax code reform or simplification. We have the opposite. We have the thresholds on when you start paying the different rates of income tax being frozen yet again, which drags a huge number of people into those brackets.
But not yet. This is what I don't understand with this, the tax threshold issue, because that isn't going to raise any money immediately at all, is it? Because they're already frozen until 2028.
Oh, she's extending it for another 2 years.
So we won't get any money. We won't see any money out of that, basically, till 2028.
Right. Yes, I take your point. I mean, I think... But the black hole, obviously, you know, it looks at future spending for the rest of the parliament as well. And one of the problems that this government has is that it's flying so close to the edge. You know, if we actually had sound public finances, then there wouldn't be all this focus on the OBR, the Office for Budget Responsibility. We wouldn't be having these endless discussions about where's she going to find a 5 billion or 10 billion here and there, because actually things would be in a more, you know, in a more robust state, and she wouldn't have to be looking down the back of the sofa for this money to plug this gap to make sure there isn't a run on the pound. I mean, it is desperate stuff.
It is desperate stuff, because the other thing is that you could look at it the other way and go, OK, so there's this huge, great big black hole and we are having to fund that, because the trouble is, with it being so big, there's so much interest being paid out on that.
Absolutely.
Stimulate the economy, actually take away these... I mean, this thing about national insurance and piling everything onto companies which employ people as opposed to companies which do well but don't employ people is just... It seems to be bananas, because it's just stopping people.
Yeah, look, I bet if the Chancellor was willing to be that open, she would admit that she'd made a massive mistake in the last budget. I mean, that we've lost hundreds of thousands of jobs on the back of that national insurance rise. Hospitality sector in particular, really badly affected.
Exactly.
So you're right, but again, it goes back to this government where they talk about wanting growth, but yet the things that they do are not amenable to growth. So there you have it.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
Now, Donald Trump has defended his 28-point peace plan for Ukraine. He's told journalists, though, whilst defending it, that it's not the final offer. So that gives a bit of a glimmer of hope. There are some crisis talks in Geneva today, apparently.
Well, he says it's not
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
Well, President Trump is a no-show at the G20 summit in South Africa, but he still managed to dominate the agenda. We're going to speak to the defence editor at The Standard, Robert Fox. Morning again.
Morning.
So this is, as I talked all over the President Trump.
That's all right.
I was just saying, you know, the point is he says it now that it's not his final deal, and yet he originally implied that it was his final deal and it had to be accepted by Thursday.
Thanksgiving, he frightened Zelensky. There's no doubt about that, but Zelensky is in trouble, as we said before. Corruption, difficulty on the front, quite a high level of desertions too now. But it's interesting how from the Trump camp or around we're getting quite a bit of rowback at the moment, because not all Republicans in Congress are happy with this one at all. And I think that they're worried about the fact that the way that the protagonists, namely Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Dmitriev, who seem to have seen this as a business deal from which their immediate entourage could benefit, Dmitriev is very keen on exploiting the Arctic, and he's always been there. He was there in the Alaska talks about this. And there's a lot about joint ventures, energy in the pondweeds of the 28-point piece. And with the key to it, I think it will unlock it, or it will probably fall on it, is this very partial attitude towards energy. That's what America is trying to get out of it, and it has ignored its allies, ignored the threat from Russia, the way that Russia is super armed, it's got a war economy, it's got a war polity, the rule, with things like internet access being restricted, with they're getting close in some areas to martial law, continuous draft recruiting by the month, and it was usually 6 monthly. Now, where is all that going to stop? Where is that all going to be monitored? And it's not mentioned in the text. It's looking too sketchy. And this is the great thing about Trump peace plans, and I'm afraid to say we allude to it in Gaza as well. Fighting is still going on in Gaza, and there is no peace and stabilization force in Gaza. We're going to have the same problem with Ukraine. But I think there might be a very serious falling out with Europe here.
But the big issue is, and it's the threat of Russia being, as Zelensky was saying, do we lose a partner or do we lose our dignity? Yeah. If you lose the United States as a partner, all the weight falls on the shoulders of Europe, which is not even united on this. You'll need to look at Germany with their big connections for Russia gas supplies. You've obviously got Italy, which is not in favour of getting further involved. So actually, they are totally dependent on the United States, aren't they?
They're not totally dependent, but those two are very interesting, Germany and Italy. They're much more ambivalent than has been made out. Germany is rearming. Italy, which should be in love with Putin, is not so in love with Putin. You look what Italy is doing for hydrocarbon resources. Azerbaijan, the Eastern Mediterranean, this is where Putin is psychologically a bit of a loser, because he's mistrusted, utterly mistrusted, by people who can't. And Meloni and Merz really do count. And they're very, very wary. There is no real contact. It's very difficult to see how they're going to engage Putin on this one. And that's why I think the Thursday, the 27th, is a phony deadline.
Now, you mentioned about Putin and about martial law and about the fact that it's very much on a war footing. But I've read articles which have said that Russia is hurting, is that more and more people know of people who've been to Ukraine and whose children, the children haven't come back, their partners haven't come back. They know that this is not all going their way. And surely sanctions, I know that, obviously, as you've just said about the gas and the oil, Hungary is another one, it's been given an exemption because it's so dependent on Russia. But surely is Russia not suffering, in a more major way than we perhaps know?
Yes, you can, on X, Twitter, get quite a good précis of the Moscow press every day. And they're being surprisingly open how bad things are, that shops are closing. One street, it was recorded, where half the shops have had to close, that they're not getting consumer products. There's a crisis in the coal industry, which is very, very important. Rail freight, which is huge, the rail business in Russia, is 10% down on last year. Refining, as we know, and so on. You would think this is having an effect, but such is the information war and the relentless information war generated by the Kremlin, generated by the bots, that there are very, very few dissident voices that count, can I put it like that? Just to put that, Fiona Hill, the great consultant, was a consultant to Trump in the first Trump administration, said to me the other day, one thing is absolutely clear, Russia wins the information war.
OK. Robert, thank you very much indeed. It's always good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get a check on the weather now with Anna Criswick.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea, and with it we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so a return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas, because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers, so mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, so if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, Christmas is coming and you've got less than a week left if you want this brilliant Christmas prize, which is £40,000 in tax-free cash, £1,000 in supermarket vouchers to spend on your Christmas dinner, which would last for weeks, £1,000.
Yeah.
And a GB News goodie bag. Here's how you enter.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still to come, we're going to be talking about the Epstein probe, the Epstein files. We're going to be talking to Emma and Lewis about the newspapers, so lots to come.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Flossie, how do you think your peers would react if, from now on, they were never, ever allowed to bring their phone into school?
Well, I think the big thing is really, I went to school yesterday,
after obviously doing BBC News. And surprisingly to me, all of my friends were saying, look, we completely agree with you. You're so totally doing the right thing. Obviously, it is a very sensitive topic. You know, obviously, I'm going to have people saying, stop what you're doing.
Don't take my phone away from me.
I would hate myself if I was in primary, secondary school. But realistically, the thing is, now I'm coming to realise I really wish I just didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
I am addicted to my phone now, I will admit that. I really wish I wasn't. So hopefully as well, if phones are banned in secondary schools, parents usually buy them for secondary school because everyone gets them. So hopefully that will stagger, you know, when parents buy their kids' phones, which may break, you know, the level of addiction.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I didn't have a phone, really wish I didn't, because, you know, I keep on saying to myself, where would I be now if I didn't have a phone?
You said that people are now talking to each other on the bus because your school has moved to a stricter ban.
So my school is now completely smartphone free on anywhere where the school has a duty of care. So yeah, it was really surprising to see kids, you know, talking and chatting while
because normally they would text each other or they'd be on the
staring at their phone.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, I do hope you're very successful because it's such an important campaign. Will, Or Ewing and Flossie, thank you so much.
Why can't they just take a stand? They've done it in Australia.
It might help with the
They've done it in Australia.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
So Keir Starmer is stepping up pressure on Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor to cooperate with a United States investigation into the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, the Prime Minister says anyone with relevant information about the case should come forward.
Andrew, who denies allegations linked to the Epstein scandal, has not responded to the committee's request to discuss this. We're joined by royal author and historian Alexander Lahmann. I don't know, Alexander, whether anybody is surprised about the fact that there's been no comment from Andrew, because pretty much that's what he does, isn't it?
Morning, Penny. Yes, I think that the trouble is with Andrew is that he's in this position where if he says or does anything, he is very much aware that it's open to incriminate him. So clearly, if he's been taking any kind of legal advice, what his lawyers have probably said to him is, why don't you sit very, very tight, don't say anything and hope it's going to blow over. But of course, the trouble is this is not going to blow over, as we've seen. And the introduction of Congress into his troubles has only made things worse for Andrew, because obviously this is as much an American story as this is a British story. And so he knows that there is any amount of trouble coming for him if he goes to America, because obviously in America, a lot of what happened with Virginia Giuffre would be classed as a crime. And so he knows that he'd potentially be opening him up to arrest if he was to say anything in Congress which was at all incriminating. But
So saying nothing might not blow over, but it means it won't blow up. So why then has the Prime Minister got involved in this? Because that can't actually have any impact on it whatsoever, apart from the Prime Minister trying to make his own point that he thinks something should happen, that he's for the victims.
Yes, I mean, I think we can see this as virtue signalling on Sir Keir's part, can't we? I mean, I think we can certainly see that he has no actual jurisdiction over what Andrew should do. It's not like he's going to be calling up Buckingham Palace and saying, I really think it's time that Andrew went out to America, because ultimately there is nothing in it for Andrew in terms of going out to Congress. The only thing that might be in it for him is if he thinks he has a real chance of clearing his name. And I think that's looking rather dubious at the moment. So it's more likely than not that whenever he does go off to whichever house he goes to next, whether that's somewhere in Sandringham or somewhere else, that he keeps on lying very low indeed. But certainly I think that Andrew is somebody who is toxic, and he's toxified the royal family by his actions. And there's a real sense now of wanting this to be over and wanting this to be resolved, but I don't think it can be.
So I think it was it this week or was it last week when Sarah Ferguson, it was this week, wasn't it? Sarah Ferguson suggesting that she could do a tell-all interview, although if it's tell-all, then we really do want to know all of it, don't we? I mean, that's the point. But do you think that Andrew has been having conversations with her, and do you think that that makes it more or less likely that he would involve himself in this discussion?
I think that if Sarah Ferguson gives this interview to American television, apparently for a six-figure sum, there is absolutely no way it's going to go well. It's not going to go well for her. It's certainly not going to go well for him, and it's not going to go well for the wider royal family. So I bet that the royals are actually hoping at the moment that she doesn't do this. However, have there been conversations between her and Andrew? I'm sure there have, because ultimately, what we must remember about the former Duke and former Duchess of York is that they are a pair of grifters. They are people who view things financially, and they view things in terms of wanting to get their money for what they do. Now, of course, if I was Sarah Ferguson, what I'd be saying is, yes, I will do this interview, and I will donate every single penny I get for it to victims' charities, because that would be a very small step in the right direction. But if she does do this interview, and I think it's probably a 50-50 chance at the moment, I suspect that every single penny will be going to the Bank of Fergie, and that's a very bad idea from any kind of PR perspective.
All right, Alexander, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Grifters. Yeah. It's a word, isn't it?
It's become a word.
I was about to say it's another one that we've sort of imported from America.
It confuses me very much indeed, because the only grifter I ever knew was the bike I used to ride.
Oh, the grifter. And you see, for me, it always sounds suspiciously like grafter.
Grafter, which is the opposite.
Yeah, with the opposite of a grifter, yes, exactly. Still to come. After 9 o'clock, we are going to be discussing the first freeze-to-rail fares in 30 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting, won't it? First, though, as Arne Slot takes responsibility for his club's 3-0 loss at home to Forest yesterday. Is Liverpool in crisis? Got the details with Aidan in a moment.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday, only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, should we have a look at one or two of your views?
Ooh, let's do that.
This morning. Jonathan says, I should have pre-read all these. I'm sort of being sarcastic because everyone just seems to be bleeding Britain dry and the benefits and housing and all that goes on. But then some British people are struggling and you have homeless veterans. It gets my blood boiling. Well, do you know what? I agree. And there's nothing I hate more than seeing homeless veterans.
No, it is awful.
Because honestly, we have a duty to look after them.
We have a duty of care and we should look after them. And they also, a number of them do end up behind bars. There's
a big percentage
because of not
bars.
having enough help after they get out of the army. I think Danny says something that an awful lot of other people have commented on before. Doesn't it make more sense to consider a universal basic income to stimulate the economy rather than unfairly punishing claimants with sanctions to save money? This universal basic income, they have tried it, haven't they, in the past? And it's quite a good idea. It's certainly one of the Scandi countries, and they found that it didn't quite work. But maybe that's because, you have to get the amount right. That's the problem, because it has to be enough to get by, but not enough to actually go and whip it up and go on and have endless holidays.
But then how do we pay for it? How do we pay for it if everyone in the country gets I don't know, £15,000 a year for doing nothing?
Yeah.
I just don't know how you pay for it, and then what incentive there is for those people who are lazy, for example, to say, oh, well, I can manage on this, why should I ever get a job?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. But, it's certainly something people are thinking about, Danny. Anyway, look, if you want to get involved in the conversation, there's a brand new way to do it by becoming a friend of GB News for free.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on your say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
All the latest sports news now with Aidan. And Aidan, England cricket.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that right?
It is, yeah. But look, it was yesterday. But I just feel that because it's a Sunday and the newspapers are catching up with it because of their deadlines, they're kind of chasing their tail a little bit. I think it's important to sift through the wreckage as some of the papers are doing right now.
Because we talked about it yesterday, and I thought it was all done and dusted.
No, it is done and dusted, but I only really said the result. I mean, we've got there's a long way to go. There's a second, third, fourth, and fifth test if we get that far to come as yet. This was an appalling defeat for England, quite frankly, that middle order collapse. I didn't realise, when I was talking to you yesterday, that this is the first time we've had a two-day capitulation in a test in the Ashes since 1921. I find that absolutely extraordinary.
Two-day capitulation? Yes. What, you mean done and dusted?
Yeah, and so there's apparently a lot of...
Just after the end of the First World War was the last time that this happened.
I know, and do you know what? There are people in Perth who are feeling shortchanged because they were banking on the England fans drinking them dry, and a lot of them are leaving town and heading off to Brisbane, where the next test is going to be. They're not getting their bang for their buck because they were hoping it was going to be at least a 3-day event, possibly even a 4-day event.
Interesting to see how much beer was actually drunk in statistics. I always quite like those things.
I can probably find out, actually.
If you could, because I quite like those when they do those things about, for example, the Taylor Swift effect.
Yes.
Which is Taylor Swift comes into town.
Well, it will mean a lot. The whole point of building
a
a 60,000 stadium to host these events is that you'd get the reciprocal, you get the knock-on effect effect, the ripple effect going outwards. But don't forget, there's 10% of the population is British anyway, so it's going to be a big old hullabaloo, and we're not going to see it now because, I mean, that's a side issue, I guess. I mean, the point is that England performed extremely badly.
Well, they were both terrible on the first day.
They were, that's true. But then it was just half an hour that did it for England, and they've got to really seriously raise their game, because this was meant to be the test, Stephen, where England were meant to build a lead and set the tone for the rest of the event. Now they go to Brisbane now. It's a day-night game with a pink ball, lots of challenges with the wicket. I don't know who they're going to select, but it's a long way to go to get a bad defeat, and I think that's what lies ahead for England, unfortunately.
Can we have a look at Liverpool?
Yes.
Are they actually in a full-blown crisis?
Yes, there's my words. And I think that if we hear from the manager in a moment, I think he'll probably concur. But yeah, look, they spent £450 million last summer. That's the biggest spend by one club. Don't forget, the numbers in football are already financially eye-watering. So to spend £450 million in one window...
Go down.
Pardon?
and get worse.
Yeah, they've got significantly worse. They're 8 points off the lead at the moment. We're not even in December, and they're 11th in the table. They've lost 6 games already. To win the title, being generous these days, you probably can afford 3 defeats in a 38-game season. They've doubled that already, and they look an absolute train wreck, because Nottingham Forest have not been. They've improved since Sean Dyche went in there, but we spoke about them at length earlier, just a month or so ago. They're on their 3rd manager of the season, yet they've gone to Anfield yesterday and recorded their 2nd win in about 45 years. So let's hear from the manager now, because he's taken all the blame for this horrendous round of defeats.
I think no matter if you win or lose, if you make a lineup and if you make substitutions, and when you look back, you're always thinking about, where can we do better, where can we adjust? But that's something else than doubting yourself. But I want to emphasize one more time on the fact that I'm responsible for the current losses. When you are responsible when you're winning, but you're also responsible when you are losing, and that's why I prefer, although you ask me that question, not to talk about referee decisions or other excuses. I can never come up with enough excuses for us to perform now, to have the results we have. That is far from good enough, and I'm responsible for that.
Finished, isn't he? Because, and I only say that, I know it seems a bit harsh, his first season with Liverpool, they were good.
Yes.
But he wasn't employing his own tactics, was he?
Was that Jurgen Klopp's team?
Well, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And was there a drop-off with Man City they benefited from? Arsenal couldn't find the consistency they needed. But nonetheless, that's them boxed off for now. They've got a big week ahead of them as well. I must touch on
Arsenal?
Pep Guardiola, because he was at Manchester City. He was with Manchester City yesterday up at Newcastle. They lost 2-1. A chance for them to make some inroads into Arsenal's lead, but they didn't do it. As I say, they lost the game. He squared up to a cameraman yesterday.
Did he?
At the end of the game.
Pep?
Yeah, I've never seen that before. No manager or player has ever squared up to a cameraman at the end of, or camera operators, we're meant to call them now. He wouldn't say in the press conference. He said it's all sorted now, but he gave him a right earful.
Oh, that's bad.
On the side of the pitch. He squared up. He went up to a Newcastle player, Bruno Guimaraes, and gave him an earful as well about something. Wouldn't say what it was. That's a meltdown to me.
Yeah,
if you're going to define a meltdown, it's not good.
I've watched Ted Lasso. I know what happens. You know when
he had a cameo. Pep Guardiola had a cameo.
He did. I know. It was really good.
I know.
Oh my goodness. What
Emma,
a
he tends to perform better than Ted Lasso does normally. But we must look ahead as well to the North London derby today later on.
This is going to be bitter,
Arsenal
isn't it?
versus Tottenham. Tottenham have got an excellent away record. Big week for Arsenal. They've got Tottenham today. Their big rival. They've got Bayern Munich, a game I'll be at on Wednesday, and then they've got Chelsea the week after. So it could define their season, but a big opportunity for them to go several points clear. I'm not sure how many. I think it's 6 points clear in total of Chelsea, who also won yesterday at Burnley.
Aidan, thank you. Liking that combo, by the way.
Thanks.
Pleasure. No, you've always got a good compliment.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I never get any compliments. Say that,
you look great, always.
Right, still to come. The Chancellor reportedly set to change council tax bands to, of course, raise more tax. What's bad news for pensioners who've got a larger home or whatever. We'll get more from Lewis and Emma next.
Yeah, but first, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled weather continues across the central Mediterranean. Heavy rain and thunderstorms expected here. Some areas could even see a month's worth of rainfall in just a few days. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira, but many areas of northern Europe are going to see a very unsettled day on Monday. The poorest of conditions likely across Italy and around the Adriatic coastline. Some heavy showers and thunderstorms here. Still a mix of sunshine and showers into next week, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
And all the way around it, there's going to be 1 million bricks with 1 million answered prayers, so people can take their smartphones, scan a prayer and see how it was answered. I'm joined now by Richard Gamble. You're the founder of this project. Just tell us about it and what inspired you.
So the concept is we want to bring hope to people, and anyone coming will be able to point their phone at any one of the bricks and their phone will light up and tell them the story of answered prayer. And God spoke to me about this 21 years ago, so it's been a roller coaster journey. So it's just a real thrill today that we can get started, and we want to proclaim to the nation that Jesus is alive, he listens, and he answers our prayers.
And how important do you think this is now in this day and age?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we're doing is we're not just collecting the answered prayers from now, but from all of history. So we want to preserve the Christian heritage of the nation and get schools and colleges to come and visit and find out all the stories of what God's done through our history. And I think particularly now that's more important than ever.
And you didn't want it to look like a religious monument as such, like Christ the Redeemer?
Yeah, when we ran a global competition with the Royal Institute of British Architects, we didn't want it to have the Christian iconography. We wanted to be a stunning structural design that basically encourages people to come along, have a look, and when they come they'll be able to see all these tiny bricks on it and realise how big a million is. And I hope as a piece of art that's going to inspire millions of people to think about praying.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
We're going through the papers at 7:44 very nearly with the writer and journalist Emma Wolfe and the broadcaster Lewis Oakley. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Emma, in the Sunday Express this morning,
yes,
there are apparently alarm bells ringing over the fact that some RAF pilots may be going on weight loss jabs.
Yeah, I mean, why is this alarming?
Well, it is alarming because there are lots of side effects to these weight loss jabs, and we can argue whether those are real and whether these weight loss jabs have been used for other purposes for decades, but there are still side effects to these jabs. There are side effects like dizziness and nausea. These are not safe side effects to have in a cockpit or in an ops environment. That's what the defence chiefs are saying. More and more fighter pilots are now obese. We have a problem with our armed forces. They're not the fighting fit force that they should be. They're not the strapping young men that they should be. They are and women. Obesity is a problem. Because of the concerns around this, some of them are getting it off label, getting it on the black market, ordering it online, so their chiefs are not even aware of it. But there are concerns when you are you are in charge of an aircraft aircraft, you are in charge of weaponry, all of that kind of stuff. It is not safe. So this is the main concern. People are, as I say, buying it online and not informing the medical officers that they work with because of fears about exactly this kind of thing. There are side effects, and when you are not being monitored, that's even more dangerous.
No, it is dangerous, and especially in certain jobs, they've got to be in charge of what medication you're on and what you've been taking.
They need to know.
I was speaking to someone the other day who's a train driver, and he was saying you're not allowed to have laser eye surgery and continue driving trains, and that blew my mind.
Really? Surely I thought laser eye surgery improves your eyesight.
Well, that's what you would think, but I guess they think there might be repercussions down the line or problems that might... So it's just interesting. So train drivers can't have the laser eye surgery, but we're, well, I guess we're not allowing in this instant, but we've got RAF fighter pilots taking...
But dizziness or nausea in a cockpit environment, that is extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
you can't guarantee that won't happen. And also... Because I know that you say, look, these medications, Ozempic and Mounjaro and Wegovy, they've been used for decades. Yes, but they have not been used at these doses. They have not been used in healthy people who need to lose around 30 or 40 pounds. They have been used for extreme, for diabetes. They've been used for different conditions. We simply don't have the long-term data. There are links to things like thyroid tumours, thyroid cancer. The food is not being digested. People don't understand this. With the weight loss jabs, food is sitting in your stomach for longer. Gastric emptying is delayed. That is why people are less hungry and eating less. Oh, GLP-1, all of these hormones, all of these receptors, they're all natural. Yes, but this is being synthetically manufactured and being injected into your body. We don't have the long-term data.
Well, as you said, you're talking about the links to cancer. I mean, these are suspected, they're sort of like, they need to research it a lot more.
Well, they do. I mean, there was also a story a couple of weeks ago saying you're less likely, you're less susceptible to some forms of cancer with some of these drugs as well. So, I mean,
exactly.
But does it sound healthy to have food sitting in your gastric insides for longer?
This is about the RAF, is
yes, of course, of course.
I think this is a fascinating story. This is on the front page of the Telegraph, and this is about Thames Water and the possibility of it being taken over by China. Now, it just seems to me, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that, genuinely, we used to have companies that were British, and now there are fewer and fewer of them. You still think that you kind of go, oh, a Mini, that's with its lovely little British taillights.
Guess what?
Yeah, it's not
owned by whoever.
And so many things. And so many of our industries, we don't own them. I say British companies don't own them.
And I think that there's certainly something in the country people want British companies to be serving British people. I know certain people that will only, they go to the supermarket, for example, and they really try their best to buy made in Britain and produced in Britain, those kind of things.
That's me.
However, with this, it seems odd, right? So, China, we've obviously got this big debate going on about this embassy that could be right in the middle of Westminster, perfect for spying, and they're like, should we not?
No, it's on the edge of the city. Just point of information, it's on the edge of the city.
On the edge of the city, sorry. However, I think that this is the problem. Reading through these stories, I don't think the politicians know, is China a friend or a foe? Because you've got this kind of like, oh, they're spying on us. We've had all this problem in Parliament as well. So in one hand, they're spying on us. We've got to kind of keep them out of our critical infrastructure. I mean, the worry here is obviously they could turn the taps off. But at the same time, you've got the politicians kind of cozying up to Beijing and saying, well, we want to do more trade. We want to do this.
Well,
so
economically, you have got to sort of keep them on side to an extent, but...
Yeah, Prime Minister's got a trip to China early next year. No one has been to China to talk to them since, I think, Theresa May in 2018. But this is really odd as well, that China wants Thames Water. It's 20 billion in debt. It serves, 16 million of us across London and the South East.
Well, exactly.
But it's the company in trouble.
So what else are they going to get?
China want to get into all this, don't they? They absolutely want to get control of key infrastructure.
Well, they do, but critical infrastructure should not be taken over by someone we are suspicious about. Yeah. We've had all the issues with, building all new nuclear power plants where China's been the major investor. That shouldn't be happening.
No, exactly.
And they're looking into whether they can add the water sector to the list of areas that we should keep control of. Well, of course, our water. And it does. Pat McFadden said this would, in effect, hand China the ability to switch off the taps. Pat McFadden, the cabinet minister responsible for national security. It would turn China the ability to turn the taps off. That is scary.
Look, it seems like they're going to stop it. I mean, thank God. So we'll see how this plays out. But I think that we do need to have a wider conversation about any country should not have that sort of involvement in critical infrastructure.
I think there is another case. I mean, in terms of critical infrastructure, when you talk about the water companies, the amount of people who've said to me, you know, I would love to not have Thames Water giving my water, or to have an option. And it just seems to me it was so weird. It's not nationalised, it's privatised, and yet I can't not have it.
And water bills, well, maybe it goes on to the next story, but water bills, people have been talking about doubling and tripling their water bills. One has no choice. It's what comes out of... You need water, it comes out of your taps.
Well, that does tie into the Sunday Express. And it's particularly elderly Brits are at breaking point. You know, having to cut back on things like food and heating, presumably, so they can pay their council tax.
There's a heartbreaking story in the Express about OAPs. Well, lots of older folk talking about water bills soaring, obviously gas and electricity bills, but also their council tax. Really, really worried. It says 27% of older folk cutting back on food so they can pay their council tax. Many of them who are on incomes under 15,000 are really, really worried about their council tax and are choosing. This one woman is quoted. She chooses whether she can cook a meal, turn on the heating, or pay the bills.
I mean,
she can cook
it's
a meal,
heartbreaking to think
cutting out showers, cutting out laundry.
Yeah, to get to the end of your life, and those are the decisions that you are making. There was one about, you know, she only boils the kettle like twice a day, and it's just... It's outrageous. This is why people have an issue with the money getting spent on net zero or migrant hotels, because it's like, well, why have we got people that have paid into the system? They're getting to the end of their life. They can't work anymore. They're too old.
No, but
this is the decisions they're having to make.
I'll tell you what annoys me about this. These are people who've not been able to make provision for the end of life, which is... So the state supports them, and that's absolutely fine, what we should do. If you do make provision for your latter years, now you're being punished for it.
It's being taken off you.
And being taxed.
And they maybe did think that... Maybe they did think that 15,000 would be enough if they lived. They're not asking to be jetting off to Caribbean islands. They're just... I know people in our area, and they'll heat one room and sit there with a blanket all day. And, yeah, there are libraries and warm spaces and churches. But what happens at the weekends? What happens over the holidays to those people? You know, there shouldn't...
And not only that,
it shouldn't be like that for older people.
Yes, it's coming back to your point. You know, these are people who have worked...
They're probably helped in the war or post-war years, you know?
Years, or they've been carers or whatever else. They haven't actually, you know, they're earning minimum wage. They come to the end of their life, they think, right, you know, I deserve this. And they do deserve it.
And this is where the pressure on the Chancellor is. You have got to get the cost of living under control. As you said, they're not asking for jet-setting holidays. They're just asking that they can afford their life and maybe have a little bit of fun money at the end of the month. And it really shouldn't be...
Not even fun money, just cooking a meal and having a bath, you know?
But then I don't know how...
Shameful.
I don't know how we balance this out, because at the minute, it's all about squeezing the...
Well, why do we have to keep... Why is there money to send billions abroad? I know it's not fashionable, but foreign aid. Why doesn't charity start at home?
I agree. All right, Emma, Lewis, thank you. Thank you both. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea, and with it we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so we'll return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas, because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers, so mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, so if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Good morning. The Chancellor insists Labour will reform the welfare system.
As she paves the way to scrapping the two-child benefit cap in next week's budget.
Will all that be enough to get backbenchers on board with an overhaul of sick and unemployment pay? Or are Labour MPs just ungovernable now?
The G20 summit is dominated by the issue of Ukraine and President Trump's controversial peace plan.
I talk to President Trump frequently, and I'm expecting to talk to him again in coming days. Well, I'm absolutely clear in my mind that President Trump wants a just and lasting peace. All matters about Ukraine must be determined in the end by Ukraine.
Oh, the Prime Minister says all hope is not lost, as President Trump says he hasn't actually finished hashing out that Ukraine peace deal yet.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
Rail fares will be frozen for the first time in 30 years as the government tries to soften the blow ahead of expected tax rises in the budget.
There's a public backlash growing after it was revealed some Pakistani nationals are exploiting student and holiday visas to lodge asylum claims.
And is reading for pleasure a dying hobby? As MPs warn students are reading less than ever, the Chancellor prepares to announce new funding for school libraries.
6 defeats in 7 Premier League games, 8 points off the leaders, and that's with £450 million spent on players. Liverpool are in full-blown crisis after they were thumped by Nottingham Forest at Anfield. And in the F1 drama in the desert, Lando Norris's result, second place, is under review as his car is under investigation. More later this hour.
Hello there, good morning. An unsettled Sunday for many of us with some heavy blustery showers. Stay tuned to find out if we'll see a return of the sunshine.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Penny Smith and this is GB News Breakfast.
"32 days till Christmas, is it?"
Yeah, and also there's a problem. There's a Santa shortage.
Because obviously there are some people that you need to sort of stand in for actual Father Christmas. So, you know, it's the people who stand in and help out.
Oh, the stand-ins and help-outs, yes, OK, the helpers.
Yeah.
The Santa's little helpers who do a jolly good job. Maybe I'll just move away from that and just not talk anymore. Shall I just
Possibly.
leave it there?
Possibly.
OK, right.
Well, Santa's it's the busiest time of year for Father Christmas.
It is a very busy time of year.
It's got an awful lot to do.
And a lot of elves.
And a lot of elves.
Needing help. Do you have a Christmas jumper?
No, I've never done the Christmas jumper thing.
I do.
Do you have a Christmas? Aidan,
yeah.
of course you have a Christmas jumper. Has it got a squeaky nose on it? Does it light up?
No, it's football-themed, actually, boringly.
Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, sorry, Jennifer.
I've worn it on this show.
Why are we all sighing about that?
Because
I'm a victim of commercialism, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's probably a QPR jumper.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh,
I've worn it on the show.
really?
I've worn it on the show.
I mean, it's tragic.
It's not tragic.
So, are you
Served me
liking
well.
this one?
No, I don't like that one. That's a weird Christmas sweater. But I did go. I was in TK Maxx the other day, as you do when you're sheltering from the rain, and you look around for somewhere where you might actually possibly buy something. And I went in, and I did find myself perusing the Christmas jumper aisles. Now the thing is, I would have bought one had they not. They were all giving me static. But I did think that actually some of them, if they were in something a little less sort of synthetic, I would have bought. They were quite nice.
Really?
They were just they were good colours. I like red and green.
See, I find them all now, the modern ones, like this particular one that's in the papers this morning. Let me show you there, just vaguely. I won't tell you necessarily what it says, but there's a picture of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor on it. But they're not. They're sort of printed almost, and I like. If you're going to get a jumper, I like a knitted
jumper.
The synthetic ones, they worry me that they could be a bit flammable, you know, in Christmas time.
Yeah, well, there is also that. But I think I'm with you, actually.
Yeah, I like a proper knitted jumper.
I think
I like an Aran sweater.
Oh, yeah. Do you knit?
No, I don't, but I agree with you on the knitted sweater.
Stephen, if you can sort out some knitting,
I'll sort it out.
Tom Daly does knitting.
He does.
He's great.
He does. I knitted when I was at... We had knitting classes when I was at school.
Oh, that's wonderful.
My mum taught patchwork at school.
Oh, look at us all.
The only thing
I love sewing.
The only thing I could knit was a scarf.
Nothing wrong with it.
I've never knitted anything more than a scarf, but maybe I should get the needles out and give it a whirl.
Please do it. Please do. Come in a tank top this week.
It's about 40 years since I've tried, but I'll give it a whirl.
Right.
Anyway, right. Our main news this morning, and it's a heck of a week ahead of us because there's just a few days before Rachel Reeves unveils what's been dubbed her nightmare budget, and there are warnings that millions of workers, millions of us, could be hit with tax rises.
Yeah, there is this £20 billion black hole to fill, which is this huge amount of debt which we're actually, having to pay to actually just continue having the £20 billion hole. And the Chancellor has said to be planning a shake-up of the pension salary sacrifice scheme as well as changes to council tax bans.
She's been writing in the Sunday Times this morning saying it might not be long before the government revisits the idea of a welfare bill cut. I mean, it didn't go very well last time. Jennifer Powers, as you know, is here. Can we start off with salary sacrifice? Because the thing with salary sacrifice for your pension scheme is it actually saves your employer some money, doesn't it? So if they want to start working on that, hitting that, well, that's more bad news for employers who are already under fire with national insurance increases.
Yes, and it's bad news for anyone trying to save for their retirement. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that will be hit by the salary sacrifice scheme, as I never have salary to sacrifice.
Yeah, but just very briefly explain about salary sacrifice schemes, or when you don't you give up some
of your money that goes directly into your pension.
Yeah, so you get paid less technically, but your company pays more into your pension.
Exactly.
Indeed. So it's part of your larger benefits package that there is that flexibility. And listen, I am full of admiration for people who can look well enough ahead and make that choice to salary sacrifice. So it's almost penalising people for doing the right thing.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's penalising people who save for the future and who perhaps won't be as reliant on the benefit system going forward. And so here we have a situation where, the government is perhaps rewarding people who don't make the right choice and are a little bit more profligate, myself included, with their spending.
I'm just wondering, Stephen and I were discussing the budget, because that's
how interesting we are.
The winter evenings fly by.
It's never ended. It's been going on for about 8 weeks now.
No, I know, and it has. And we were talking about, actually, what about if she just said, right, this national insurance business, yeah, I can see I made a mistake there. Maybe we should just stop that very quick. I mean, is that even a thing? Could she?
Well, technically she could, absolutely. I think that the problem is that, one, the damage has largely been done in terms of these jobs that have disappeared and businesses that have perhaps gone to the wall with those extra labour costs. But also, where's she going to find the extra money? Because those jobs that have remained are being, taxed. And that is providing some income for the Treasury. So, look, there are consequences for any decision she makes. We hear endlessly about this smorgasbord of tax rises that she's looking to bring in, whether it's getting paper mile tax for EV cars, whether it's rebanding the top couple bands of council tax to bring in an extra layer of taxation on that. We talk about freezing the thresholds on income tax so we can all pay more on our tax. So it's going to come from every single angle, I'm afraid.
But what I don't understand is this sort of feel-good aspect they're trying to push out, which, two-child benefit cap, scrap that. I know a lot of people do want it scrapped, but no, scrap that. It's going to cost us £3 billion.
Yes.
Is that really the right way to spend money when you could use that $3 billion to try and stimulate the economy? And it's things like the breakfast clubs, which they've rolled out this week, which have made a big fuss about.
Yes.
And their own weird press releases and videos they put out on that, including some sort of yummy mummies saying, oh, it's going to be great because we can now go and I've got time now to go and have a coffee with my friend in the morning. Which is not what it's...
It speaks to the lack of morality at the centre of the government. The fact that they would sort of seek to fetishize going and not parenting your children and, celebrate the fact that, oh, good, I'm not with the kids. I mean, quite the reverse. So I remember when I was in Downing Street years ago now, I was advocating for more flexibility about instead of like free childcare? Could we not just give tax credits to families so they could use the money however they wanted to provide for their families? And if that meant that one of the parents could work fewer hours so that they can indeed spend time with their children, that might have benefits. But the Treasury at the time wanted to get as many people in work as possible. And, you know, it didn't matter if children were in institutional care or, you know, at school for longer. It was just all about getting people into the labour market. And now it's not even that. It's about getting them into coffee shops.
Yeah,
it's gone completely mad. We've lost sense of what matters in life.
I was just thinking back to at the end of the Second World War. Obviously, Britain was on its knees. It owed so much money. And yet... The Labour Party came in and went, I tell you what, we're going to have the National Health Service, we're going to have social reform, we're going to have a welfare system. You know, these were things we couldn't really afford.
So are you saying that...
Well, I'm just saying that, you know, here we are...
We can afford to spend a lot more now?
No, I'm just saying that maybe the time... well, I've said this a number of times, haven't I? Be brave. Make a bold move. Say, OK, we've got this 20 billion. I know we've got to pay that back. But at the moment, we need to stimulate the economy and make people feel better. So let's do this. Let's stimulate the economy. Let's get rid of the NI. Let's get rid of all these other things and actually do something that actually makes people feel better.
Well, I think everyone would welcome the Chancellor making this sort of hard decisions that would result in a growing economy and greater prosperity. We can only go on what she's done so far. The rest is just, you know, prediction. She's not been bold to date. She has been buffeted by the opinion of her backbenchers, by the opinion of the markets, by the opinions of the elites. This is, you know, for whatever she may maintain, this is not a woman who has a clear idea of what she wants to achieve for the country. So whilst I have a lot of sympathy with what you're saying, Penny, I'm not sure we can expect that on Wednesday.
No, I'd be very surprised. All right, Jennifer, thank you very much indeed. It's been great to see you this morning.
Now, Donald Trump has said that his 28-point peace plan for Ukraine is not the final offer ahead of crisis talks in Geneva today.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift in position, isn't it? That's as President Trump was a no-show at the G20 summit in Johannesburg over the weekend.
GB News political editor Christopher Hope has this report from South Africa.
The clock is ticking towards the deadline imposed on Ukraine to agree Donald Trump's 28-point peace plan. He calls it a peace plan, but in Europe and Ukraine, it's almost certainly seen as a surrender plan. This deadline of Thanksgiving Day in the US is really focusing minds for Sir Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, and other leaders. They've met here at the G20 in Johannesburg at the E3 level. That's France, Germany, and the UK. Their leaders met. And then after that, with Norway, Ireland, Italy, Finland, Spain, Netherlands, and even Canada, all agreeing how to respond to this 28-point plan. They say it's a draft, not a final document, a basis for additional work. They all want a just and lasting peace, but they do say borders must not be changed by force. The EU members, the allies of the coalition, the willing, the allies of Ukraine, they say this: they're concerned by proposed limitations on Ukraine's armed forces, which would leave Ukraine vulnerable to future attack. Crucially for me, they say also that the EU and NATO members must consent to this deal. That to me is an attempt to put a brake on this Thanksgiving Day deadline, to say to Donald Trump, you can't impose this on Ukraine without our agreement in NATO and the European Union. The focus though moves on Sunday to Geneva, when we'll be seeing members of the senior levels within the UK and other members of the coalition, the willing, and national security advisors meeting with senior figures from Donald Trump's administration. That's when the talks will carry on, and all the time the clock ticks towards Thursday. The pressure is on for the Prime Minister. He'll be back in the UK from Sunday, and of course domestically there's a make or break budget which will do so much to define his record as Prime Minister. So both internationally and domestically, it's a crucial week for Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Christopher Hope for GB News in Johannesburg.
Can I just say I'm not a comedian? However, Linda has been in touch. Morning, Linda, who says, have you heard Rachel Reeves is proposing to tax goats on the Scilly Isles? It's being called the Silly Billy tax.
Very good.
Very good, Linda. Well done.
Do you know what? I love a Christmas cracker joke as well.
Yeah.
Secretly, I do. I know that's not a Christmas cracker
I don't know where she got it from, Linda, but it's...
very good.
Yes, very good. Right, shall we have a look at the weather? Here's Anna Krizik.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea, and with it we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so a return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas, because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers, so mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, so if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
What is the date today? 23rd. My goodness, 23rd of November. That means 25th of December is a month.
32 days.
32 days. That is not
something like that.
That is not long left until Christmas, and time is running out for you to enjoy it all on us.
You could have £40,000 in tax-free cash, £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket for Christmas dinner. I keep thinking, what would you spend £1,000 on for Christmas dinner?
Oh, I don't know. But did you see that there was one supermarket that was selling the most staggeringly expensive beef something or other? Anyway, there we go.
Oh, well, you could have it all. It could be yours. Anyway, plus, no, but this is what you want, a festive GB News goodie bag.
Ooh, yeah. Here are the details.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride, will be joining Camilla Tominey at 10 a.m. this morning as the final countdown to Wednesday's budget begins.
First, though, is reading a dying hobby. There's a warning that children are reading less than ever, and guess what? Spending more times on their phone. We'll debate that in a moment.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
So proud of GB News for getting, and Bev of course, for getting the interview. But the real important message from all of it was, of course, President Trump's attack on the BBC. I've been proven wrong because I tweeted a couple of days ago, it just shows how much I know. I tweeted that I thought President Trump might accept the apology from the BBC as an off-ramp and say, look, I want to be the nice guy here. I don't want to sting the great British public who, of course, pay the licence fee and who would ultimately be funding any settlement or court fees. So I thought he might use that as an off-ramp. But nope, we got into the Roosevelt room in the White House. Bev sat down with him. I was standing just behind Bev listening to the whole interview. And even before we went live with the interview and started recording, he was so shocked, angry, and more than anything, actually, confused as to why the BBC would behave like that. He just couldn't believe, not that, you know, on one occasion, fine, maybe it could be a mistake, but the second time, the Newsnight incident just proved that, in his mind, it was intentional, it was institutional bias. There's a clip there of, a photo, sorry, there of us in the Oval Office. It was an amazing experience, Nana, of course, just being in that room. Once we finished the interview, President Trump came over to us and said hello and asked if we'd like to see his office and the Oval Office. And yeah, stepping into that room, the history, you can feel it, the soul of the place, the grandeur, the gold as well that President Trump has installed all over the room. He's received some criticism for his use of sort of gold decor across the White House, but I have to say it was extraordinary. And it didn't stop there. He then invited Bev and I and some of the crew out onto the Rose Garden patio. There was American music playing, which was very funny. And we had a quick glimpse down at the presidential Hall of Fame, just from the top of the patio there.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 8:22 now. Children's love of reading is apparently fading fast, and MPs are saying it marks a generational shift that could have some serious consequences.
The Education Select Committee is launching a major inquiry into why young people are choosing screen time over reading for pleasure. Well, I could tell them why it's just so much easier.
Well, it probably is, but then it's your imagination, isn't it, which isn't getting fired in the same way. Well, Rachel Reeves is expected to give every secondary school in England £1,400 for new library books in the upcoming budget. I don't know why they need new library books.
Yeah.
You don't have to have new books.
No.
Just read the old books.
Yeah, my local Oxfam shop has a huge section of books.
Yeah.
About 10p.
Yeah.
Joined now by journalist Charlotte Listen. Charlotte, good morning to you. I mean, you know, we're talking about dire consequences about not reading, but, you know, as I said just then, I can totally understand why young people just go, or I can watch a film, or I can watch some YouTube, or I can watch some TikTok where somebody's doing something daft and it makes me laugh.
Absolutely. I think most of us had the privilege of growing up in a generation where there were not constant distractions in the palms of our hand, where we couldn't swipe through 1,000,001 things if we didn't like it within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now the options are just so vast that, unfortunately, when it comes to children's attention, there is too much to compete for.
But and there's a couple of points with this. One, that there should be reading, certainly in primary schools, there should be reading time at the end of the day. But also, it's about very young children as well, isn't it? Being introduced to books at a very early age. Are parents not doing that now?
I think they are, but it's the same things vying for adults' attention as they are children's. Adults, we're also on our phones the whole time. You only have to look at mental health rates among adults to see the same issues are afflicting adults as well as children. Everybody is in this entirely distracted universe where we're all doing 21 things at once, very poorly because we can, rather than sitting, concentrating, and actually taking the time to engage with reading.
Well, I mean, you're saying taking the time as well. Do you have to remember an awful lot of the single parents, or maybe they're not even single parents, but they're on their own with a child. They need to get maybe they need to be making some nourishing food, so they need to be in the kitchen, and they don't want the child sort of under their feet, perhaps. And it's easier to leave them with something which isn't a book, because you know that they're going to be glued to whatever it is.
Of course, and as you say, this idea of nourishing food, we know that's so important to our children, but the equivalent with reading and phones is it's like giving the child junk food, right? It's something quick, it goes down easily, it will capture them, it will make them happy, at least in the very short term. And again, when you offer a child a stick of carrot or a chocolate bar, you know what they're going to choose. Unfortunately, all too often now, it's the same between a book and an iPad.
Yeah, well, why is it that we're not appreciating what books do for us? I know as adults we tend to read a bit less, but actually that whole thing of diving into an adventure and your mind kicking into overdrive, picturing everything that's going on, it's quite a magical experience, really.
It is, and it develops our minds at any age, but unfortunately we are in an age of instant gratification. We are used to getting quick hits fast of things that are incredibly enjoyable and boost our dopamine levels, and unfortunately there are too many easy vices, which we wouldn't even now consider vices, that fill in those gaps rather than us taking a moment, doing something slow, pleasurable, maybe not getting that instant hit, but building something better over time.
You see, I'm just looking at this 1,400 schools to get these new books and everything. Well, new books, particularly if they're hardbacks, you know, we're talking of, 10, 15, 20 quid. I mean, that's, although it's, a nice sizable donation, surely Stephen's right in saying that actually the one thing you've got to do is it's not about new books, it's about the books that you've got being read and actually getting people into books in the first place. And you do that by making them so that, they've got good, fun books that they want to read.
I agree. I suppose the positive to take from this is that the government sees this as a problem, this decline in children reading, and wants to put money into it. I agree. Do we need every book to be the shiniest book in the land to make children read? Probably not. But having said that, children also do like the shiny and new. So if that will encourage people, if get them into the library and say, hey, look at this brand new shelf that you can dive into, then at least it feels like it's a small step along the way to really get children encouraged into reading.
Okay, Charlotte, thank you very much
I'm
indeed.
reading such a good book at
the
moment. It's called Small Bomb at Dimperley, and it's all set after the Second World War, when people with massive great houses, which had been requisitioned during the war, are trying to sort of work out what to do with that and where their place in the world and everything else. The world order was all changing. And it's funny, and it's also it's full of heart, and it's just a really good book. In fact, I even managed to whip it out and read a few more pages when I only had 2 stops on the tube. I took it everywhere. I've been taking it with everywhere.
See,
it's great.
I'm an audiobook person now, because that means I can listen to it in the car and listen when I have a little snooze and drift off to it. But mine are always the CIA, the spy,
But when you're drifting off to them, do you not suddenly wake up and realise that you've missed a huge chunk and you've got no idea why they're there?
Yeah, all the time, yeah. You see, it's constantly rewinding. But it's great. But mine are all the minute I'm on the Grey Man series books, which I've listened to all before, but I've gone going through them again. They're just brilliant.
You see, I tell you what the good thing about reading as well is that I keep on going back. There are certain bits which have been funny or quirky or anything else, and I just reread the sentence a few times just to go, just really indulge and enjoy.
They're brilliant. Books are brilliant. We do need to encourage kids to do more.
Yeah.
Right, still to come. Sport is good as well.
Yeah.
And there's drama in the desert as both McLaren cars under investigation now after the Las Vegas Grand Prix. We'll get the details from Aidan in a moment.
Ooh.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Thank you very much, by the way, for all your comments and your views. Maggie is talking about what's been happening with Ukraine. Says, I just think Trump is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And yet everyone expects the United States to keep funding everything.
Well, yeah, it's an argument.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it?
It is.
There are people. It's why, actually, the one thing is that when President Trump came in for the second time, Europe has actually upped its funding, its funding of NATO.
But not enough.
Not enough, no.
Not enough. Barbara has been in touch about homeless veterans. She says this government should be looking after them before illegal immigrants. These poor ex-soldiers who put their lives at risk to protect us should come first.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Well,
I
that was
absolutely
something
agree.
that you said about the homeless veterans, yeah.
I think it's a disgrace when people have served this country and put their lives on the line and then we just let them fester.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't give them enough help at the end.
No,
but
we
anyway,
don't.
thank you very much for all your comments, by the way.
If you want to take part, actually, there is a brand new way to get involved in the conversation by becoming a friend of GB News for free. Have a look.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
Do you know what the time is?
No.
It's coming up to 25 to 9 is what the time is,
Oh,
and
very good.
therefore it's time to get the man in the lovely kind of pale khaki-ish shades.
I haven't matched it with this jacket previously.
It's very
so I
nice.
thought I'd just
like
try
it.
something different. I always
No,
arrange
I think it's good.
I lay out my wardrobe the night before with my underwear and everything. And,
All right, enough. He's
again.
obsessed with his underwear.
Leave your pants aside.
It's
for a
all
moment.
we've heard in the commercial
I know,
breaks.
Exactly. Can we just talk about what's going on in the heat? In the desert?
Drama in the desert, absolutely. Now, look, we heard this morning, probably a couple of hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago, when we got in, that Max Verstappen had won the Vegas Grand Prix, and that from a domestic point of view, Lando Norris had finished second. Oscar Piastri, his McLaren teammate, had finished in fourth. They're the three contenders who are vying for the Drivers' Championship. Now, there's been... there's both cars, the McLaren cars, so Piastri and Lando Norris, they've been told they are under investigation for a technical infringement. So this is excessive skid block wear. So the cars have a skid block underneath them.
Right.
And it's a strategic thing by the team. This is why the two drivers are both on the same team. They're not allowed to go too low, particularly around bends. It's a safety thing. You can gain an advantage, particularly difficult from a safety perspective, given the rain we've had in Vegas as well. They're not allowed to go below, Penny, a 9mm depth. So the matter is in the hands of the stewards.
How can they tell?
I guess there's some kind of... Yes, I know, but there'll be some mechanism in the car, I would have thought. To tell, but it's inspected afterwards anyway. I think it's pretty routine, but it's a technical infringement.
They know that.
And it normally results in disqualification. Worryingly for both drivers, there is precedent for this just this season. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, both Ferrari drivers, which suggests again it's a team thing. It's strategic. It's been planned in advance. To gain an advantage, they were disqualified in China earlier this year. That hasn't had a great effect on the race because neither of them were in contention.
What impact would it have on Lando?
On Lando,
he's 24 points ahead.
Yes, so if that happens, Norris would be 24 points ahead of Verstappen and Piastri going into the final two races of the season. There are 58 points still to play for. In Qatar as well, there's the additional race, the sprint race. There are more points available for there, but in short, it blows the title race wide open. Crucially, tellingly, nobody from McLaren has come forward to speak on this. They're maintaining radio silence at the moment. It's about midnight, just a slither over midnight over there. I'm not sure that we'll see a verdict this morning. We just don't know. It could be an overnight thing that we finally see a verdict, but we're waiting news on it. But as I say, not good news for either driver. No. And when you've got Verstappen breathing down your neck, as he has been, he won today, and he gets that fillip, that boost going into the final couple of days of a couple of races of the season, then hopefully, well, from his point of view, it could be telling, especially psychologically.
I know you want to talk about the football, but can I just very briefly talk about the rugby, because we haven't
Yes, we need to talk about the rugby.
Rugby, and this is England's rugby and an injury.
Yeah, I'm not aware of an injury.
It's not an injury? Oh, it just
it's Dingwall.
As well.
Oh, right, OK. Well, look, this is what I know. They're playing at 4:10 today against Argentina. They're going for 11 wins in a row. It's been a great turnaround by Steve Borthwick. How many times, Stephen, did we sit here talking about how they were in disarray? Just a couple of years ago, they went to the World Cup. They got to the semi-finals. It was very flattering, Penny, because they got some very kind draws, actually. They weren't particularly good. He got them through that period. And finally, they found some form. They've scored some notable victories over the last year or two. They have, exactly. And, they could go on and win the tournament in the next couple of games. As I say, Argentina today. The great game yesterday in Dublin. South Africa prevailing against Ireland, although Ireland came out with some credit because they had 12 players for some period of the match. So that was a brilliant effort by them. But still, South Africa, for my money, pound for pound, are the best in the world. They are just brutal, particularly in the scrums.
Yeah. All right, let's have a bit of football.
Yes, we've got good games today. We've got North London Derby, 4:30 today. Tottenham travelled to the Emirates. Tottenham's away record is very, very good, but they've won at Arsenal. I don't recall them winning there more than once since 1993, and 1993 was at Highbury.
Well, you do love a stat.
I do. So 1993, and that game didn't even matter because Arsenal were preparing for the FA Cup final that year, and they had a second team out. Huge opportunity for Arsenal today, despite Tottenham's away form. form, they can extend their lead at the top of the table. They were done a huge favour yesterday because although Liverpool aren't really in contention, still only 8 points off, and they could get it together with the firepower they've got, and Manchester City losing at Newcastle as well. So, as I say, opportunity knocks for Arsenal, and they've got the hunger as well. They haven't won it for 21 years.
Yeah.
They'll never get a better opportunity, in my opinion.
Spend all your time sitting in front of tellies watching loads of people just...
I realised when I was about 12 that once a stat goes into my brain,
never comes out again.
I cannot get
never
cannot
comes
get rid
out.
Of it.
Really?
Cannot get rid of it. I know about 15,000 football results going back to 1986.
No, we don't need to know that. No.
I can list them all if you want.
No.
No, he would. He would, ladies and gents.
No, he would, and he'd also tell us about what pants he's wearing tomorrow.
No, I'm not interested in that.
He'll lay them out tonight. Honestly. Sometimes it's like caring the community in the studio, Aidan. Honestly, it's what it feels like. But we love you anyway.
Good.
Right, still to come. We've got reports that some Pakistani nationals are exploiting student and holiday visas to lodge asylum claims. We'll get more in the papers with Emma and Lewis in a moment.
Yes, but let's have a look at the weather for the top European destinations first.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The unsettled weather continues across the central Mediterranean. Heavy rain and thunderstorms expected here. Some areas could even see a month's worth of rainfall in just a few days. Mostly dry and settled across Madeira, but many areas of northern Europe are going to see a very unsettled day on Monday. The poorest of conditions likely across Italy and around the Adriatic coastline. Some heavy showers and thunderstorms here. Still a mix of sunshine and showers into next week, with the best of the temperatures across Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Last time I was here was with Buddy, my golden retriever, who joined me for the first 2,000 kilometre of my 13,000 kilometre triathlon from England to Everest. But this time we got back and we've just got a rescue dog, but Teddy, who's inspired our next adventure, our next charity expedition in aid of rescue dogs. So, yeah.
I'm going to slow you down a tiny bit there.
Absolutely, that's
You
fine.
said fairly quickly 13,000 kilometres.
Yeah.
So tell me about the stages of that.
So, yeah, so it was 6 months tomorrow, 6 months ago to the day, was on summit of Everest and completed the longest climb of Mount Everest in history. So it was 13,157 kilometres, which started with a swim across the English Channel and then a 12,000 kilometre bike ride across 18 countries to sea level in India, and then a 1,300 kilometre run and hike and climb from sea level to the top of Mount Everest. So it was the first triathlon to the top of the world and also the longest climb of Everest in history, which was for a great veterans charity called SAVSIM, which makes mental health courses using wildlife and nature. And I studied zoology, massive animal lover myself, and now I've been back 6 months and we've just come across and rescued Teddy. It inspired our next little venture.
I mean, the trip you undertook, the 13,000 kilometres, medical experts said it was impossible.
Well, a lot of people said to me, a lot of experts said they're not sure if it's possible. You know, the question was that, you know, after nearly an 8,000-mile triathlon, would the human body then be capable of then climbing Everest? I lost 18 kilos, nearly died many times. The hardest day was on day one, actually, 18 and a half hours across the channel. That was just day one of 237. But we made it in the end. It was for a great cause, and we kind of defied possible to show the most important message of my entire kind of expedition, that the only person that knows what's possible is looking in the mirror.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice
first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Writer and journalist Emma Wolfe, broadcaster and podcaster Lewis Oakley are here to do the news again. Hello, this is Emma. Can we start off with the Observer, page 9?
I thought you might.
I know, because do you know what? I love a Guinness, and I love a Guinness Zero now.
Well, we were talking about Guinness Zeros a few weeks ago, and Stephen doesn't drink either, and he was saying Guinness Zero is yummy.
It's great. It's as good as the original.
It's
that I remember.
almost better, actually,
Wow.
in some ways. And in fact, weren't you saying, Lewis, that there are now more Guinness Zeros sold than
actual Guinness.
Actual Guinness.
Yeah.
Because it is so good. They've just got it perfectly down there.
Well, interesting you should mention Guinness. Guinness has actually been a bit of a victim of its own success. It got so popular. And I thought, with a decline in booze, drinking, that, weirdly, stouts are on the up. Stouts have become fashionable. But last year, there was just not enough Guinness. And apparently their customer service is rubbish, so bars were not able to get hold of Guinness.
Oh, there was a real shortage.
Yeah, a real shortage. And what's happened is that other, pretenders have sneaked in, like Beamish. So pour me, I don't know how to say it, a creamy beamy.
A creamy
beamy.
And a beamy is the stout that the Irish didn't want the UK to have, so they don't want to let go of their stock, so there isn't enough of beamy, and it's a bit of a cult hit. And there's just this whole world around stouts that I didn't know about. Aldi have launched their own stout, Irish stout, which is very popular, called Mulligan's.
There's Murphy's as well.
People cannot get enough of these creamy stouts.
Well, what's interesting is that drinking as a whole has sort of declined, but this is the one area where they're all hedging their bets, where it's actually seen an uptick. So that's interesting. That
Also, it's not overly alcoholic. So it's lower. I tell you what I used to drink a lot of, which... because I'm a country boy with a country pub. Mild. It was always Pathwaite's Mild.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can buy Mild now, and certainly not down this end of the country.
Can I just say that...
Lewis is going, what's mild?
What's mild? I'm going, what's mild?
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a beer, a lager,
it's a beer, but it's like... it's almost in between stout and bitter.
Yeah.
OK.
Oh, but I remember when my mum says that when she was pregnant, she got on the National Health. She got given stout.
Same in Liverpool, my granny and my mum,
Yeah, because it's full of
iron.
Iron, exactly.
Yeah, exactly that. It's weird. It's sort of counterintuitive. You think people are going more for the kind of Aperol spritzy or whatever the new thing is, but actually stouts are on the...
I'm sure that there'll be a TikTok element of that or something.
Maybe.
Or a podcasty element. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what it is?
Lewis, can we mention this, just because we've been teasing it all morning? This is Sunday Telegraph. Some Pakistanis who are coming here on holiday work and student visas and then claiming asylum.
Yeah, so nearly 10,000 Pakistanis entered the country on temporary work visas, and then they've switched to an asylum claim. You've got someone quoted here talking about, this is Jamie Jenricks, the former head of employment statistics at ONS, saying it's feeding into this wider issue of public trust. Communities across England are dealing with the fallout of the grooming gang scandal, which was overwhelmingly involving Pakistani heritage men. And it's against a backdrop of sort of rising asylum claims that people are feeling that the immigration system is being managed poorly. And I think stories like this erode trust, right? People see those numbers. And I think we have to delve into those numbers too, because it's not going to be 10,000 people all gaming the system. Like, people's circumstances may have genuinely changed. So what we have to do is have trust in the system that actually you've got experts there that can tell fake claims from legitimate claims. The problem is, I don't think a lot of people at the moment have the trust in the system that that's being done effectively.
We approved more asylum claims than most countries. I mean, so we're looking at the Denmark model, which is...
what do they turn down? 95.
95%.
They reject 95% of asylum claims.
Yeah. One where almost the other way around.
Exactly, and the backlog, and actually it takes, I think, something like 6 hours to approve an asylum claim and about 40 hours to reject it. So it's much easier for a Home Office, for the blob, for the civil service, to just tick people through than to say, actually, we're rejecting this claim. So, I mean, the whole system is the wrong way around.
Exactly, but it does need to... I mean, that's what they need to get a grip of, because actually, as soon as you get a grip of this sort of thing, then you can deal with everything else.
And the backlog. The backlog.
But that's the problem, is that the backlog is so huge. And when we talk about immigration, you know, a huge amount of it, almost a million, I think, of it, is actually legal migration. And so you have to actually, you know, it's divorced from the illegal migration. So if you deal with the legal migration, perhaps there wouldn't be quite so much of a stress on everything. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, legal migration is approved.
Yeah.
So just don't approve as many people.
Exactly that.
But also, dealing with the backlog,
because... It more professional, doesn't it? It seems the government needs to say, this is the number we'll accept this year. Of that number, this percentage will be for asylum, this percentage will be for this percentage will be for that, and then have a year where they hit those numbers.
But just get a grip and get on with it.
Yeah. Can we have a look, Lewis, at The Observer?
Oh, yes,
what's the Army doing?
This is great. So basically, the Army is now actively recruiting gamers because drone warfare is a big thing now.
Strapping, very fit young men
sitting in their bedrooms.
But it doesn't matter. It says here that MOD is actively looking to hire gamers, coders, and those confident and passionate about tech, and they're basically looking right now at sort of reducing the standards on fitness training programs, because it doesn't matter what your waist size is or how much you weigh, as long as you can operate a drone. And what they're doing is they're making the controls similar to sort of Xbox and PlayStation controllers. And you know what? It gives me hope, because all the stories we hear about how ready are we for war, it's like we don't have enough people, and we could fit everyone into Wembley, and you think, oh my God. But the idea that if we, heaven forbid, went to war, that it would be the gamers that would save us because they could operate these drones, I think it's a rare positive story. And interesting, I mean, the dark side of this is obviously, it talks about it here, sort of gamifying war, and that actually you're taking human lives. But at the same time, being able to sort of have all these people that are gamers that don't know that actually they would be the ones that we could call up if there was a war.
A few problems with that, in that young people, overwhelmingly wouldn't fight for their country. We've seen so many surveys saying they wouldn't want to fight for their country. And also the idea, the security aspects of all this. Do they really... Can you really put these young guys, these kind of geeks, and I say that in a nice way, geeks in their bedrooms, in charge of these, potentially deadly missiles and all of that?
And going on kill missions.
But
well, I don't think they'd be in their bedrooms. They'd probably be moved somewhere else to do it under a controlled environment.
Is done remotely. I mean, in America, they often do missions, just released or whatever, and it's all done remotely from somewhere in, Arkansas or something.
It's got to be done. These type of people are needed. I just think
the future.
It's not just gamers that you then put somewhere else. They've got to have the right mental attitude.
Exactly. I was just about to say you almost have to stop using the word game, because actually I was listening to an incredible drama documentary which was based on all the people who had operated drones in war situations, and the mental issues that you have when you're looking down at, for example, a car, and you can see people, but you have to almost divorce yourself from the reality of the fact that these are humans that you are about to drop a bomb on.
But it'll be interesting to see how that changes over time. If they've been there doing this fake in a game for years, and then they're doing it for real, will their brain just be a bit more normal?
It's scary to think of these kids working on Minecraft or something and then doing it for real.
The real worry for me...
There was a film, a Robin Williams films in the 90s called Toys, which deals with this very issue. And it's worth a look. On that note, we are out of time, you two. But thank you very much indeed. It's been great to see you today.
Yeah, M&S. Right. The weather is next with Honor Chrissy.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening. Now, low pressure is the reason for this quite changeable weather, and it will eventually push into the North Sea. And with it, we do start to see a change in our wind direction, so a return to a more northerly flow of air. So it is going to be feeling a bit chillier once again as we head our way into Monday, and still very unsettled, still plenty of showers across the country. Lots of cloud though, so remaining mostly frost-free for a time, but it is going to still be remaining quite chilly as we begin the new working week. So lots of cloud around to start, but this should lift and break through the course of the morning, allowing some sunshine to develop mainly across inland areas, because that brisk northerly wind once again dragging in some showers, so mostly around coastal areas is where we'll see some spells of rain. It will start to feel that bit chillier once again, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, so if you do see any sunshine, you have to wrap up warm to enjoy it.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
There's a dark shadow that's begun to loom over the Gloucestershire village of Pilning. This 500,000 square foot warehouse, better known to locals as the Mega Shed, rises more than 20 metres in the sky. Construction of what is officially an industrial distribution hub has been allowed to go ahead due to old planning consent dating back to 1957. The scheme was part of a post-war building initiative, allowing developers to build without a full public consultation, leaving residents in the dark.
So you can see out of this window here how big the warehouse is and why we've nicknamed it the Mega Shed.
Retired policeman Paul Selby is greeted by the warehouse every time he opens his curtains.
I don't think you need to be a magician to work out that they've not taken any account of the impact that the thing's going to have on the local area. You can see it from, all over the place, and everybody is commenting that it's completely spoilt what was a rural village.
A spokesperson for South Gloucestershire Council said much of the new development at Sevenside is governed by planning permission granted in 1957. This permission gives wide-ranging powers for development with limited remaining control for the council to exercise. A government spokesperson said councils are ultimately responsible for reviewing old permissions if the development is no longer suitable and deciding whether action is necessary. But local MP Claire Young believes similar developments around the country means it is a matter for Parliament.
At the moment, the government appears to be saying, no, it's not really our problem. And I think it is. That's why I want to get a minister in front of me in the chamber so I can explain what I think the problem is and what could be done about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British Airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country. Good morning. The Chancellor insists Labour will reform the welfare system.
She paves the way to scrapping the two-child benefit cap in next week's budget.
Is that going to be enough, though, to get backbenchers on board with an overhaul of sick and unemployment pay? Or are her backbenchers now ungovernable?
I'll be speaking to you in just a moment about the questions I'm going to be asking a Labour backbencher. Does she have faith in the Chancellor? And will the Chancellor go the distance after Wednesday?
The G20 summit is dominated by the issue of Ukraine and President Trump's controversial peace plan, but the Prime Minister says all hope is not lost, as Trump says he hasn't finished hashing out a peace deal.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended.
Rail fares will be frozen for the first time in 30 years as the government tries to soften the blow ahead of the budget.
The public backlash grows after it's revealed that some Pakistani nationals are exploiting student and holiday visas to lodge asylum claims.
Hundreds of people are set to take to the streets of Crowborough this morning to protest plans to house 600 migrants in a local army barracks.
Hello there, good morning. An unsettled Sunday for many of us with some heavy blustery showers. Stay tuned to find out if we'll see a return of the sunshine.
Just gone 9 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Penny Smith and this is GB News Breakfast.
Should we talk rats?
Let's
I
talk.
love this.
I know. Monster rats. Now, I don't know. I've seen some pretty big rats, so I'm going for... If that's a big rat,
yeah,
I'm going that for a monster.
Yeah,
rat. What do you think?
couple of feet, I would say so.
And then a big old tail on the end.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you don't really count the tail, do you? Monster rats, according to the Daily Star, are causing millions of pounds of damage to cars across Britain, and Teslas are their favourite.
Oh, there you go.
Now, the thing is, you might think, well, you know, rats. Rats to that. But the thing is that the insurer Aviva is reporting a 28% increase in these pests, causing an estimated 1.3 billion pounds damage.
That's all our insurance going up then.
That is. And they do love a Tesla because apparently they say they smell like peanuts to a rat. How do they know? Do they put a Tesla out in a peanut and go, ooh, and then they get... I
wonder what, because the Tesla stuff, it's all very vegan-friendly and vegan leather and vegan... So maybe they make some of it out of peanuts.
Oh, I see. Oh, they might do. Who knows?
But yeah, rats and mice love peanut butter. It's great for a trap.
Oh, yes, that's right. I was told that it was better than cheese when I was trying to humanely get rid of a mouse. Took him further and further away until eventually, I say he, could have been a she.
A she?
A she or a fee, yes, exactly.
It's going very well this morning.
I know, but took her further and further and further away to stop her coming back.
Yeah.
Him
or her?
Whatever.
They're very, very clever, rats. That's the thing. They are actually very clever animals.
Of course they are.
Mm.
I know.
So.
I know.
Anyway,
People have pet rats.
If you've got a Tesla, buy a can of that old-fashioned new car smell and spray it all in what would be your engine compartment. I don't know what you have in your engine compartment, nothing at all. But spray it in there and see if it does anything.
Right. Should we get on?
Better ad. It's this week, 3 days, really, before Rachel Reeves unveils what's being dubbed by some as her nightmare budget, and warnings are growing that millions of us could be hit with tax rises.
£20 billion black hole to fill, as we've been told. Rather a lot. The Chancellor is said to be planning a shake-up of the pension salary sacrifice scheme, as well as changes to council tax bands.
Well, of course, Camilla Tominey's here at 9:30, live from Westminster, so let's get a tease of what she's got for us this morning. I mean, look, there's been so much speculation about the budget, Camilla. It feels like we've already had it.
I know, it's been pitch-rolled, which is the buzzword of Westminster these days. I'm not sure whether the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, is going to be happy about the latest revelations, because, of course, the Chancellor should be announcing all of this for the first time to the House of Commons, not to the newspapers. As you say there, well, what do we know so far? We think that the tax thresholds are going to be frozen. She'll try and pass that off as not a breach of the manifesto. But, of course, if the thresholds are frozen and we're taxed more, then working people are tax more, and therefore it is a breach of the manifesto. Limits on ISAs, taxes on EVs, as you've mentioned, a pensions raid, changes to the inheritance tax rules, a taxi tax. I mean, basically everything that moves seems to face the threat of being taxed. We know that she does want to scrap the two-child benefit cap. She's doing that to try and keep her backbenchers happy, although I don't quite understand this argument for keeping backbenchers happy when he's got a majority of 169 in the Commons. But anyway, we'll be speaking to one such backbencher, Catherine Atkinson, who's the MP for Derby North. This is interesting because she's obviously in the Red Wall seat, one that she gained from Boris Johnson having won it in 2019. And I'm just wondering what the good people of Derby North, or indeed the rest of the country, think of the prospect of being taxed more at a time when taxes are at a record high, borrowing is up, youth unemployment is up, particularly in her constituency. So I'll be asking Catherine Atkinson about that. Also, look at the prelude to this budget. The PM and the Chancellor's approval ratings are at an historic low. The Chancellor now on -57. That's worse than Kwasi Kwarteng at the height of his problems. So we'll be asking her all about that. Asking Mel Stride, the Shadow Chancellor, is it all the Tories' fault? What will they do differently? And much, much more, because we've also got Lord Dannatt on. He's the former head of the British Army. He's got a big speech this week. It's called the Bevan speech, where I think he's going to be prepped to give us a very stark warning about just how ill-prepared we are for war, should it happen, with the threats we're facing from Russia and China. And Lord Moynihan, who did advise Liz Truss back in the day, is going to give us his ideas for growth. Is the last budget and the effect on the gilt yields and borrowing actually worse than what Liz Truss wrought on the country?
I mean, it looks like that. When you look at the figures, it does seem to be the case, which undermines their argument, of course, that Liz Truss crashed the economy, whilst also saying what Rachel Reeves is doing and the criticism of her is simply down to misogyny and mansplaining.
Yeah, I mean, OK, we can have a debate perhaps about whether the term Rachel from accounts is sexist or not, but this is interesting, isn't it? We've had this whole shtick from Rachel Reeves from the very beginning that this 22 billion black hole, which, funny enough, is the amount of furlough cash that was paid by the government during COVID, I read this morning in a piece about the inquiry, that it's all of the Tories making, and yet many will rightfully argue that the last budget just dug deeper into that black hole. There's a contradiction at the heart of the Chancellor's premise that she is fiscally disciplined when actually the government is spending record amounts. And if you look at the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap, that betrays a lack of seriousness about bringing spending down, doesn't it? Not least when the welfare budget is so high.
Yeah, it is. It's also interesting to see. I mean, I've also been reading in the papers today and yesterday, really, about. I know comparisons are odious and all the rest of it, but you look at the rest of Europe. The rest of Europe is all pretty much we're all in the same boat because of COVID. COVID actually did have such a huge effect, which we are still feeling and which we're going to feel for some years to come.
But not just because of COVID, I think, Penny, also just because of this status quo, managed decline, huge statism. I mean, the small c Conservative argument will be that you actually have to change the system entirely in order to produce the growth that we witnessed in the 1980s. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again. I'm sure John Moynihan will speak to this, and expecting a different result. We've been in this situation of expecting the state to do everything. That ludicrous video produced by the Department for Education at the weekend, asking parents what they might do with this spare 30 minutes they have that their teachers are cleaning their kids' teeth. Why are teachers cleaning kids' teeth? Why is the state doing so much and spending so much? Something needs to rapidly and dramatically change. Otherwise, that G7 growth rate will remain a flat line rather than one in elevation.
But that's the key point, isn't it, Camilla? With all these things which you can look at and say, it's ludicrous, why are parents not parenting? Why are we doing all of this stuff? But the backbenchers seem to like it. And it's the big problem for a Labour government with a huge majority, is that anything that perhaps needs to be done, they can't get past their own MPs.
But this is the irony, Stephen. There's polling out this morning that has asked the country, not just Labour voters, but the country, would you rather taxes go up or spending go down? So Labour did a very good job, didn't they, post-George Osborne, of toxifying efficiency savings and describing it as austerity. We can have a debate about whether successive governments cut the right stuff. A huge debate still waging about Theresa May's cuts to the police, for instance. However, in the round, the public have said, we've had enough of this. We feel we're being taxed until the pips squeak. We're still suffering from a cost of living crisis. Inflation may have come down in general, but it hasn't come down in the supermarket, as anyone that is trying to feed a family can vouch. Therefore, actually, no, we don't want to be taxed more. Control your spending, manage a budget. So some of these Labour backbenchers, and we've again had interventions today from Zach Polanski of the Greens calling for yet more taxes, wealth taxes, mansion taxes, yet more immigration. It's completely in opposition to what the majority of this country believes, whether or not, by the way, they're GB viewers and listeners. This is the country, and Labour voters are saying, enough's enough, cut your spending. And yet there's this desire to be all cuddly and generous. And actually working people, Rachel Reeves keeps on going on about working people. There's nothing hard-working people on minimum wage like less than people being on benefits that could be in work.
Yeah. Camilla, thank you very much.
See you at 9:30.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely.
Now, for the first time in 30 years, rail fares in England are going to be frozen next year.
Yes, ministers say the move is part of plans to rebuild Great British Railways whilst easing pressure on household budgets.
The man who knows all about this, as always, is travel correspondent for The Independent, Simon Calder, who's up in Newcastle on a train. Good morning, Simon. What's all this about? Why are they doing it?
OK, really good question, Stephen. So this is, as you say, unprecedented. For the last 3 decades, I've got used to reporting on the idea that the July Retail Prices Index will set the increase in rail fares for the following years, sometimes up 1%, sometimes down 1%. But it would have meant roughly a 5% increase next year in train tickets. That would, for example, take the cost of an anytime London to Manchester trip up to £200 for a journey of barely 2 hours. Now, this only affects so-called regulated tickets, which are season tickets in the London area, anytime commuter tickets in around the big cities, and many off-peak long-distance tickets. But since the Department for Transport pretty much controls all the travel train companies and what they can charge these days, I think we can see it's a freeze. It's going to cost about £600 million. But the idea is that this is going to attract more people back onto trains, and so therefore it will kind of pay for itself.
Yes, because the more people we can get onto the trains, the less they use their cars, and that's good for the roads, because otherwise, you know, particularly with heavier and heavier cars, the roads are suffering, and people hate potholes. I mean, I think they did a survey, didn't they? And they found, I think, potholes were pretty much always up there as 1 or 2 in terms of the things that people hate the most. And you do have to get people on a train. I presume you are not in a quiet coach. Is there anybody else on that coach there with you, Simon?
Look, I paid £35 for an upgrade to first class, so I can be guaranteed.
Look at you! You're just irritating the first-class passengers. Excellent.
Yeah, so there's I think 3 other people here, but yeah, I'd love to see more people. Unfortunately, this isn't, of course, going all the way to London, where I'm trying to get to. It's only going as far as Peterborough, where we hop on a rail replacement bus. But enough of that. It's improving the network. But the crucial thing is, you talk about cars. We may see in the budget, since, as we were hearing quite rightly from Camilla just a moment ago, pretty much everything is going to be taxed. I think we will quite possibly see fuel duty increased. There may be a tax on electric cars, like those very appealing Teslas, or appealing if you're a rat anyway, and therefore it might be a kind of carrot and stick. Yes, we're putting up the price of motoring, but we're freezing the cost of travel. The big danger is that, well, perhaps as you know, I don't have a car. I travel all the time by rail. I spent, I think, £200 so far this week on trains. And if I'm getting a break, which is terrific, I'll be very glad for that. But you've absolutely got to attract new people on board. Otherwise, the long-suffering taxpayer, who currently pays about £400 a second to keep my train running, thank you very much, and quite possibly never goes near a train, is going to have to pay even more. It's a tricky old time, but I do say at least they're trying something different.
Well,
Simon?
fair enough.
Thank you. Simon Calder there, travel correspondent of the Eye.
We love Simon.
Independent. We do.
Man's a legend. There is nothing he doesn't know about transport of every type.
I know. Brilliant, man. Still to come, hundreds are marching in Crowborough against plans to house 600 migrants at a local barracks. We're live at the scene next.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
Taxes and rent, the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Only a month.
Basically a month.
It is, because it's 23rd today, and of course we all know when Christmas comes. What, remind me the date again of Christmas?
25th, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And now you can have it all on us, because there's £40,000 in tax-free cash, £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket, and a fantastically festive GB News goodie bag.
You can keep that if I win. Anyway, if you fancy that, and who wouldn't, here's how you enter.
There's just 32 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, hundreds of people are expected to take to the streets of Crowborough in East Sussex this morning. They're protesting about plans to house 600 migrants at a local army barracks.
It'll be the third consecutive weekend of protests, but is it getting through to those in power?
Well, let's talk to our South West reporter, Isabel Fekulak. Morning, Isabel. So what is happening today?
Morning. So today you'll see that people are going to be marching here from the leisure centre in Crowborough down towards the town. And last week we saw a couple of thousand people march, and a similar amount is expected today. Right now I can see the car park is filling up at the leisure centre, and there's several police presence around. And something a bit different this week, so 600 men are going to be wearing white t-shirts numbered 1 to 600, and that's of course to represent the amount of asylum seekers that are expected to be housed in the army barracks here in Crowborough. And I've spoken to a few residents, one of which lives right next to the camp, and he has actually sent up his own drone over the camp and saw about a dozen workers there putting up what looks like some fence lining, so seemingly getting ready for the site to be used. However, there has been lots of protests against this, and there's a grassroots residents group called the Crowborough Shield. They've managed to crowdfund over £30,000 for legal fees to be used against the Home Office, and the Home Office have told them that they haven't yet made a decision, but nonetheless another week with protests here. They'll be leaving from the leisure centre behind me and heading into the town, where those 600 men will be filling up across, and that will be, as we said, to show the sheer amount of men expected to be integrating into the community here. But yeah, a lot of uproar within the community. There was signs last week saying "Save our girls" and "Women and Girls," and they will be likely to appear again today, despite the rain. Thousands expected, and so the leisure centre right now, there's police behind me filling up, and yeah, we'll see what happens and how many people come to march down to town today.
I know you'll keep us across it all. Isabel, for now, thanks very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much. So just a couple of comments from people.
Yes, let's.
About this, we were talking earlier on about the £1,400 going to schools to buy books, and Brenda put, do all schools have the same books? Why don't they all have a swap system? Excellent idea.
Yeah, well, Ray's got a good idea as well. He says, why don't we have a countrywide campaign to donate a suitable book to a local school? Most households have got books in a cupboard that they'll never read again.
You see, that's a good point. Why just ask the parents?
Yeah.
Say to the parents, give your old books in, because otherwise all they do is clutter up space and gather dust.
I mean, I know it seems, you know, lovely new books are lovely.
Yeah.
But £1,400 per school, which is what the government's promising, is a lot of money. It will add up to a lot of money.
Yeah, Marilyn says one of the problems getting children to read is that books for kids are bland and boring. Get back to the great books of Enid Blyton and Roald Dahl.
Well, they are good. Well, they are very good. But there are lots of very good children's authors about.
There are.
And children and young people.
Yeah.
You probably don't know, Marilyn, because you're probably not reading them the same. Because we don't read the youth authors.
No.
But there's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah, there are. There really are. That's it from us. But do stay tuned, because up next it is the Camilla Tominey Show.
So here's the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A cold and frosty start across the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, a day of heavy blustery showers, though we are expecting it to brighten up nicely into this afternoon. For most, though, it is going to be a very wet start, some heavy downpours at times. Eventually, any rain will clear its way into the North Sea, allowing it to brighten up across many areas of England and Wales, but there will still be some showers, particularly across the west, so a day of sunshine and showers. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps some parts of Northern England too, plenty of cloud around and still plenty of showery outbreaks. Feeling quite cold across the northern half of the UK, but highs across the south reaching between 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so a little bit above average for the time of year. Still plenty of showers in the west to end the day, and also some quite strong gusty winds pushing through into the Bristol Channel. A very unsettled end to the day too across Northern Ireland, northern parts of Wales and England. Plenty of cloud and some showery outbreaks, and fairly similar across parts of Scotland too. So it is going to remain fairly unsettled as we progress through into this evening.